This is S-4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Folks, and welcome to S-4, where we talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S-4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains of Washington State, where I wouldn't live anywhere else. So tonight we're discussing aliens and UFOs, as we do often, but in light of the Pentagon employees releasing information that they have off-planet craft, it brings disclosure, in a sense, to a whole new light. But is anyone really paying attention? Not really. But we also have a special guest to share his experiences tonight, Matt Jasel, director and producer of Back from Hell, The Necro Files, and Revolution 666, to discuss his own experiences. What was that?
Beaming in from Michigan, joining you guys.
Yeah. We have Matt, and we have Barry, and of course we have Markham, our S4 scientist, with us every week since he's in Seattle.
How's everything going for everybody tonight?
Great.
It's hot. It's really hot.
It's very freaking hot. So,
a little bit of Kentucky.
Hey, that's why I don't live in Kentucky.
No. Because actually, you know, we don't have the humidity factor you do in the South. So, you can keep the humidity. I can feel the heat, but you can have the humidity. Hell no.
Oh, man.
So,
it's
real
bad.
quick, too, September is going to be September is going to be crazy. September, we're going to have a whole month of roundtables. So, like the first 3 weeks, every show is going to be a roundtable. And then, September the 26th of September, Saturday the September, I'm not talking tonight. So Saturday the 26th of September, we are doing a 24-hour paranormal S4 marathon. So yeah,
wow.
That's going to be 8 different sections, because we can only do 3 shows or 3-hour shows at a time, based on Spreaker. So every 3 hours will be a different topic and a different guest. It's going to be
Sounds
fun.
awesome.
It should be
It's
interesting.
going to be great. It will be.
Tim, let me know if that volume's any better, please.
I don't think anyone's ever done that before.
I got to admit, I'm a little worried about the last couple of shows there, because I know the further into the night I get and the more tired I get, I'm just going to start spewing some ridiculous stuff.
Oh, we're going to be talking about some crazy shit towards the end of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we don't already.
Bring on the rake.
What?
Right? I'll be talking about the rake. What's up, buddies?
Yeah. Bring on the rake.
The rake into the house. Anyway.
That's right.
So, to start off...
I'd rather invite the hoe.
Huh?
Oh,
Did you say you wanted to invite a hoe?
Yeah. He'd rather invite the hoe than the rake.
Oh.
Get a garden, please.
Yeah. So, you know, I know a lot of our locals are listening tonight because we're actually talking about South Skagit Highway and what we did.
Yeah, South Skagit. That was interesting.
So, yeah, we started off at the Dolls Bridge, and that's on Concrete Sauk Valley, where Sauk Valley, where South Skagit meets up with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so nothing real significant happened until we got to Cape Horn. So the strip between when you enter South Skagit all the way up to Cape Horn, we had 2 spikes. But, and this is a learning lesson for many teams that might use EMF, what we deducted is if you're walking down a highway, you're doing a haunted paranormal study, and you come upon a residential area. So if you have a house that's within 50 feet of the highway and it starts spiking, you can kind of check that off as it's a residential spike. They probably have Wi-Fi. They probably have, high energy, high power sources in their house. So it's not going to be paranormal.
Yeah.
But if you get to a house that's more than 50 feet, because we had houses that were like 100 to 150 feet off the highway, we didn't get anything. So, you know, any houses under 50 feet close to the road and you get a spike, that's not paranormal. Unless there's other stuff going on. So we get to Cape Horn Road. Not road, so the Cape Horn area. Mm-hmm. We find a dead bat. Like, huh.
Yeah, I was checking.
Now that's
I was
kind of
checking for
interesting.
dead things the whole way.
I've never seen a dead
That
bat.
is interesting.
And a carcass.
Yes,
Huh?
yes,
And a carcass.
and a carcass of some unknown thing. I have no idea what that was. It honestly, it looked.
It
like,
was gross.
It looked
That-
like part of a cow,
Friend,
or I'm not really sure.
Whoever did that's a jackass.
I got some pictures though.
It was a caucus.
Yeah, but then it had crabs all in it. Too.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was gross. It
Um,
was disgusting and weird.
But just before we get to this carcass is about the time the EMF meter just screamed. And it didn't stop screaming until we got to, well, interestingly enough, a cross.
Yeah, it was right on the other side of the next up and coming bridge, like right before the next up and coming bridge.
The Finney Creek
Finney
Bridge.
Creek Bridge.
So I tried some stuff because I was trying to figure out, it always looked mundane. There weren't any power lines. So I'm walking in the gravel. I would step onto the highway, it would go to 0. I would step in the ditch, it would go to 0. I stay on the gravel only, it will go right back to screaming. I reset it 5 times. Just to, sometimes you reset an EMF meter, it zeroes out, it recalibrates, whatever, and you stop. You stop spiking. This one didn't. No, we reset it 5 different times just to test that theory, and it went back right to 1.98, a 2.0, a 3.0. It just fluctuated, but it wouldn't stop pinging. And that was about a quarter-mile stretch. And then we hit a power line. And just past the power line was a pool of water, and across the highway from that was a cross marker where somebody had actually died. So, phase 2 of this is going to actually be to go at nighttime when there's no chance of interference with car radios, with our satellite radio, and we're going to do an EVP session.
Yeah.
And see if we can communicate and cross them over.
Did you guys see any cell towers close there?
No, actually, there aren't any cell towers on that side. Not until you get to the Day Creek area,
Yeah.
and that wouldn't have even been close to that. And all of our power sources for this side of the river, from Cape Horn and down, all come from the other side of the river. So they come from our Bird's View area.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
All of our cell phones were in the truck. They weren't anywhere near us. If she talked on the walkie, because Kayla and I had a walkie, and Cole and Izzy had walkie in the truck that was following us. But you already know that if the EMF starts going off when she's talking, it's just the radio.
Well, the walkie
Right.
did some really weird things in that area too.
And that's the other thing. So these walkie-talkies, if you change the channel, they say, channel 2, channel 3, whatever channel you go to. And she couldn't talk to the truck. And then come to find out, it's not on the channel that was supposed to be on. This happened, 3 times?
It happened twice, because it went to channel 2 once. We reset it back to channel 1. And then it jumped to channel 5. But it didn't say anything when it jumped to any of the channels. It didn't go changing or channel 2, channel 3. It just went to it.
Yeah, it just went to it.
Yeah.
So that way, is it mundane? Is it because she bumped the thing and it just went too fast for it to respond? Possibly. It's still kind of an anomaly, and we chalk it off as the anomaly. Because once we walked for about another 2 miles without even a ping, without even a blip, and we called it at that point. Because 1, too hot. 2, my legs were killing me, and no. If we're not getting any sign, then it's time to wrap up.
But it's definitely interesting, and I'm excited to go back out there and check out with an EVP session. See if we can pick up anything. I might bring a spirit board or something of that nature out there too.
How long was that cross there, do you think? The cross that was out by the road there.
So I'm not sure about that cross, because if I remember right, it was 2 years ago, 2 kids drowned in the creek when it flooded.
Okay.
I'd have to look up the research on that. Look up the history, but it's fairly recent. That marker is fairly recent anyway.
Yeah.
Now the other interesting fact is the property that we were walking past is FEMA-owned property. So it makes me wonder, what does FEMA have on this property?
I don't know.
they got their tentacles on everything, I think.
Right? Yeah, they sure do.
Right.
Well, because
90% of the area that we live in, so our little area, our little community, 90% of it is owned by FEMA. Because we're in a floodplain.
We're
not in a floodplain, but most of the properties around us are considered floodplain.
Right, because of the Skagit River.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they might have some kind of underground generator. They might have some kind of operational base. Just throwing a guess here. There's nothing to show that. But we might actually do a walkabout in those woods and see if there's anything in there that could actually make the EMF peak.
Well, anytime you want to. It's right down the road.
Exactly.
So,
hey, we could be there in 10-minute walk.
Just make sure you have your ID and everything on you, just in case.
Right, just in case.
Just in case. Then we could be like, what? We had no idea. It'll be great.
So, August is 1 week away. Pretty soon we're going to go up on Cumberland, which is just down the road as well, and do some Bigfoot. A Bigfoot walkabout. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, we did grab a couple of snapshots of some pretty large footprints, too.
Yeah, we did. That's right.
We were walking just about Finney Creek area.
So I wear a size 10 shoe, and this pretty much enveloped my foot. So not ginormous by any means, but big enough to be probably a medium-sized Bigfoot.
Yeah, I would say
bopper.
that shoe size, it would probably be about a 22 for shoe size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And not to be mistaken for the bear tracks, because we did see a lot of bear tracks.
Yeah.
But we get bear out here all the time.
There's a huge difference between a Bigfoot and a bear.
Absolutely. This looked human foot, but bigger.
Right.
Where the bear footprints, obviously,
it's like a bear.
Like bear. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Exactly.
I've got a size 16 shoe, and I've seen some big prints, and I've come up close to them and stuck my foot by them, and they're shocking how much bigger they are than my shoe. Wow.
The track I've got, the plaster cast I've got, is what, about 2 foot long?
Yeah, I would say it's about, I wouldn't say 2 feet. I would say probably
foot and a half.
Foot and a half, about 21 inches or so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But definitely something out there that I want to figure out what it is.
But it's interesting. I haven't heard a whole lot of Bigfoot reports. Have you, Barry?
Like right now, there's some strange, different. Every time I've been on the last few weeks, I've been talking about these different crypto stuff, and we're getting some strange cryptos. I don't know where they're coming from, up out of the ground out here or wherever, but definitely not Bigfoot, not Dogman type things, but very different. We got some kind of hyena thing roaming around down here now that people are seeing for sure, and it's very strange. Almost like a massive, compared to a dog, but it's got like a mane on it, and the hair kind of jags up all over the front of it, and it's swooped down very low. And I've seen some pretty interesting tracks that I sure the heck don't even know what the heck it is. I mean, it's like going, what? So, yeah.
So, Matt, I know Matt's going to go into some of his UFO encounters that he's had. Have you ever had any kind of a Bigfoot encounter?
Bigfoot encounter? No, I haven't. Although I've got a friend who swears he saw one. He was in the military in Germany on watch at some base, and he says an adult and a child, Bigfoot, came out of the woods and stared at him and then ran back into the woods. Swears up and down by it, but I've never personally seen one.
There's a movie idea for you, Bigfoot.
That's a great movie.
I gotta tell you though, like, Bigfoot has so many movies out there. It would just
like the
come on,
Legend of Boggy Creek or something, like back in the 70s, I remember.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Boggy Creek, that was a great one.
Okay, on the Boggy Creek monster thing, my dad worked with a guy whose cousin made some of the first footprints. You know, they talk about it being a webbed, three-toed footprint. Mm-hmm. They made them by walking in the mud backwards in a pair of Voigt swim fins.
Ooh. I got some little flippers out there for some. I don't know. I'm gonna go over to Barry's house and walk all over in my flip flops.
When I was a kid back in the 70s, I had a pair of shoes that had like a footprint on the bottom of the shoes. I don't know if you guys remember these, if you're old enough. But you walk around and it sort of makes a human footprint.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is like some fashion fad for like a year. These shoes. I wish I remember what they were called.
All right. So tell us about your UFO experiences, Matt.
All right, my UFO experiences. Well, these both happened when I lived in Washington State there, oddly enough. I lived in Olympia. I moved there like in the late 90s or so. Mm-hmm. And I had two things happen pretty close to each other within maybe a year or so. The first thing is not the freakiest thing, but I'll go ahead and give you the first thing. It's chronological. Me and a friend of mine were over at the apartment of a couple of girls, watching movies, staying up late watching movies. Sitting in the living room, it's probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. And the TV is like in front of the window, which is like, these maybe 3 big pane windows with Venetian blinds. Outside the front window is like a shared front yard or something. So it's just like sort of empty space out there with like the apartment buildings in a circle. And so we're like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm guessing. We're talking, the 4 of us, and all of a sudden this like blinding blue light shoots through the window for like 2 seconds. And like, it would have to be like, my only description would be like somebody rolled a searchlight like right in front of the window, like pressed it up to the window with a blue gel or something. Like that's how like extreme this light was, right? Shooting through the window. So we're all like, what the hell was that? It's like somebody's got to go out there and check and see, what the hell's going on. So nobody wanted to do that. So I was like the brave one, right? So I like go out and, I open the door and I like step outside. There's nothing out there, but I walk maybe 10 feet away from the front door, and it's as bright out as if it's the middle of the afternoon. It's like, looks like it's noon out at 2 o'clock in the morning. Huh. It's like I brought my friend out. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? How can it be this bright? Like it looks the middle of the day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And these other people, my friends weren't like into the paranormal or anything, so they just kind of want to pretend it wasn't happening.
Right.
So this is how I filed this story in my own head, was that, for some reason it was like bright out at 2 o'clock in the morning. But then thinking about it years later, I don't think it was 2 o'clock in the morning anymore. I think when I walked outside, I think it was 10 o'clock in the morning or noon. I think we had like 7 or 8 hours of missing time. The four of us. I think we got zapped by something. I wasn't abducted. I don't know if anybody else was. But this blue light was otherworldly. I can't think of anything that could have produced that.
You said you didn't think you were abducted.
No, I don't think I was. I mean,
what do you think happened during those 8 hours?
I have not the foggiest idea. I mean, it's possible somebody else was.
So
somebody else was.
So did you notice any unusual marks on your body? Any needle marks?
No, nothing at all. Nothing on me. No. I mean, with the two, like say the two girls aren't people I know all that well, so it's not like I stayed in contact with them. If they if they ever had any memories of anything, or if anything showed up on them, I wouldn't have any clue about it.
Did you have any strange dreams afterwards?
No, nothing. Just zapped by a blue light, and I suspect that we lost 7 or 8 hours. That's what I.
Let me ask you this: have you ever found yourself walking by street lights at night and have them blink out one by one as you walk by them?
No, I haven't. Why?
Okay.
Is that a common thing?
Oh, that's common with abduction, yeah.
Yeah, and you haven't had anything where you're in your home and
I'm telling you,
you had electrical problems at home?
I think I was just a bystander in this one, you guys. I don't think I was the abductee. If that what was going on, I don't think it was me. It was one of these other people, or possibly a neighbor. Maybe they zapped the whole complex. I don't know what happened.
And that's actually possible and actually common, because they'll take who they want and they'll basically shut you off, and they won't take you, and they'll take who their target is, which could have been the girls. So,
or the other guy. It could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, it could have been somebody 3 apartments up from you, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been, sure. It could have been the neighbors. I mean, this was a relatively small apartment complex. Like it was like, 1-story buildings, just kind of in a little circle. Single-story buildings.
Interesting.
So, yeah. No idea. I mean, at first, I thought, we were thinking, maybe like because there's that military base, I think Fort Lewis. Maybe they exploded, like a nuclear bomb went off.
That was just what I was going to ask, is what part of Washington were you in? So.
Yeah, it was Olympia, Washington.
Oh, okay.
Well, and part of our training
or maybe
ground...
Tumwater, somewhere around Tumwater, maybe.
Part of our training ground at Fort Lewis touches one of the points at Olympia, so it is possible.
Right. But that missing time. So there was either missing time, or it was as bright out, like outside. It was daylight at 2 a.m. So it was either one of those two, which either would be pretty freaking weird.
Well, afterwards, did you like go home and go to sleep, or?
Yeah, we went straight home and went to sleep.
Okay, so the traffic that you were hitting, was it like daytime traffic, or was it like 2 a.m. traffic?
I don't recall. We were pretty, really confused about the whole thing, and I think just wanted to go home and go to bed.
Gotcha.
I remember being pretty tired. I don't remember
and
much
neither of
after
you ended
that.
up like having to
Like
work
the
or
next
anything the next day, so you didn't like miss a shift or anything like that?
No. No, I don't think either of us were working at the time. We had like a mail order business going on.
Okay,
so we
gotcha.
didn't have actual jobs. But that's not even the weird one. You guys ready for the weird one?
Yep.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. Well, this is about a year later. Okay, I'm living in Olympia, closer to, in town, just kind of in the suburbs, and up on a hill, in this house up on a hill. And just one morning, I walked out of the house onto the front porch, and looked up in the sky. It's probably 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and there is a giant spherical object, like poking into the atmosphere, with like the part of it closest to me, like slightly below cloud level, like just a red, like bright red. I don't know if that's something to do with the heat that would be created by, coming into the atmosphere like that. But like just a giant red sphere that was so big it took up like a third of the sky. I walked out and I stared at this thing. I think I dropped my cigarette, and it like backed away. The perspective was changing. This was like a three-dimensional object. Backed away, back out of the atmosphere until it completely dissipated out of view. And this was like so fucking big. At first I thought it was the moon or something, right? That the moon had like somehow came out of its orbit, and hit the planet or something. So I went running down. This house was on a corner, so I immediately went running back and forth down these two side streets, looking for somebody, like another witness, that would have seen that. And there was nobody around. There was nobody. There was no dogs barking. There was like nothing. No cars driving. And and this was, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But I mean, it was, I saw this with my own eyes. And I don't even know. See, the thing that sucks is like back in the late 90s when this happened, there was no internet. This was like 10 years before anybody was on the internet, really. And so, I mean, now, something like that, I could get on and check, did anybody else see something, Because I'm sure there must have been somebody else that saw this. But, I mean, back then, there was nothing you could really do about it. And I've checked since. I mean, I've looked up, giant sphere in the sky, Olympia, probably 1999. And I can't find anything, I have no idea what it was. I have no idea if this was some giant cloaked object that sort of got too close to our atmosphere and kind of dipped in for a minute and then was only visible because of the heat that was generated, which made it look red, you know what I'm saying? That's what I think happened. And then it just sort of backed away. The whole thing could have lasted maybe 10 seconds, but I saw it. And, I don't know. What do you guys make of that?
It's a hard one because they're common. UFOs in general are and you're absolutely right. Back in the 90s, because I got into the UFO field in 1994. And back then, the research aspect on the internet was just it was lame. It really was.
So was the internet back then too.
Well,
so
yeah.
Sure, hardly anybody was on it.
It took you 45 minutes to get on it, and then a phone call came in every time.
and you adjust with the times. Back then, I used ICQ to actually communicate with abductees. And for those that may be too young to understand what ICQ is, it's kind of like what Yahoo Messenger was. It's what Facebook Messenger is. It's basically a chat format.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually how I talked to many abductees via that format. And back then we had Cause. You remember Cause, don't you, Barry? Peter Gersten. You still with us, Barry?
I'm here. I don't know what just happened, but
yeah. So, do you remember Cause back in early '90s with Peter Gersten?
'90s.
Yep.
Yes.
It's Citizens Against UFO Secrecy is what Cause stood for. And Peter Gersten was actually a lawyer that was suing the government for back then UFO information.
Huh. Well, he just needed to wait another 20, 30 years. What are we?
Exactly.
I'm trying to remember. Cause folded, I believe it was 1996, 7.
Yeah, I wasn't out very long at all.
No, it's only up.
Did they fold, or did they just become a secret?
No, he shut it down and went to...
down, yeah.
He shut it down and actually went to a different platform, basically. But he shut down cause.
Huh.
And moved on.
Sure he did.
Yeah.
But for 2 years, yeah, so I was on 24-hour duty a lot when I was stationed in Atlanta. And that gave me 24 hours of straight computer use. So I was always on on the military computer printing cause reports. That's what I did.
You know, one of
the military computer to print anti-military.
I was using
cause reports.
In fact, I was using General Tommy Frank's computer.
Of course you were.
Hey, you guys, where would, if somebody back in the late 90s made a report on this, somebody else saw this,
so
where would that likely be stored, do you think?
So, depending on where you filed it, because MUFON was still around back then, New Fork was still around back then, which is the National UFO Reporting Center with Peter Davenport.
Okay.
Yes.
So if it was filed, it would still be accessible. Now, if it was filed in the government, you'll never see
it's
it.
not accessible.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. That's
what was announced? Maybe not.
That's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Give us a couple of hours and we might see it.
Hey, what county is Olympia in?
Thurston? Is that Thurston County?
Pierce County.
Oh, Thurston. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
Thurston?
Sorry, wrong one.
It's right on the border of Pierce and Thurston.
You know, one of the... I was going to say, one of the interesting things about the sighting is that the red or orange ball, or orb, a large orange ball, there's been so many of those that have been reported. And what I'll do is, let me see if I can go on while you're continuing. I'll see if I can find something on it on the MUFON site real fast and see what I can pick up, okay?
It looked, it reminded me of, like, in movies, you know, how something, when it enters the orb, enters the atmosphere, especially if it's going fast, will, like, get hot, right? It, like, generates a tremendous amount of heat, and it starts to glow red. Like, it sort of had that look to it, as if there was some heat, if some temperature change or effect was making it visible, even though I'm assuming something like this would have to be cloaked, typically, right? That's why we don't see them floating around space. Because it's cloaked, but it just happened to dip in, causing the shape of it to appear, so kind of blowing the cloak in a way.
I saw a rather large white orb over Seattle as I was going into work the other night. It was real foggy. There was like an overcast. It was sort of misty, and this thing was glowing in the clouds, and then it just winked out.
That's where I'm curious too. With all the riots and all the violence that's going on, really across the planet, it makes me wonder if that pulls some of the races down to observe.
I wonder if it's their agenda to create all this chaos, so that they seem like an answer.
I would say no.
This is all on
to that
us.
one. I would say that what's happening now is human.
Yeah, it's all on us.
No, absolutely. But I'm talking about the UFOs that are coming down, like what he saw in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And what Matt? I mean, back in the '90s, there weren't any riots or nothing here that I can remember. Because in '94, I would have been at Fort Lewis still.
Yeah.
No. In '94, I got out in May of '94. So I would have been here in Skagit County.
Fuck, dude, I was in grade 5.
Huh?
I was in grade 5.
Guys, wouldn't this be a fantastic time for the government to, like, dump some serious disclosure? That would sort of grab everybody's attention. It would grab everybody's attention right now, and sort of, people would start kind of stray away from these protests and riots because there would be something else obviously
Okay.
something of common
It didn't
interest
work.
that would unite everyone.
No.
So they released information on a couple days ago.
2 days ago,
Yeah.
the Pentagon came out.
Right.
The
Well, I was
Pentagon came
hoping.
out
I'm
2
hoping
days
that
ago.
leads to more. I'm hoping that leads to something more substantial.
I don't
How
know.
can
This
it
is
be more
pretty.
substantial than them telling you that they have a crashed UFO and that they have
they-
videotape of
two
UFO?
days
I'd like a press conference with some slides.
They're,
Like I want
I got you.
I want them to go at it.
they're supposed to.
I think
come
that'd
out-
help. That'd change the mindset of the country real quick.
I don't think
Yeah.
it
I
would.
don't
I
think
think
it would. I think it would actually cause them a little bit more chaos there.
Well,
maybe.
Well, it would be a
the
different.
Brookings
It would be a
Institute
different
report
chaos.
said we'd lose our collective minds, and it looks like that's already happened. So you might as well disclose UFOs and aliens while you're at it.
Right, and that's kind of what they're doing, and nobody's paying attention to it.
We
but
can't
those
have
of us
much
in the
more
UFO
chaos
field.
than we currently have. It's might be a good time to do.
Right. You know, one of the things that people have been saying for years is that when anything odd happens or when Pizzagate stuff comes out or whatever, they seem to always come out with some kind of UFO stuff. And it's been related in the same way so that it buries another story.
Well, yeah, because Pizzagate makes page 1, whereas, oh my God, we caught a UFO on page
Right.
On
15.
page 26,
Yeah.
way down at the bottom, over by Jill looking for her dog. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't even aware of that this vehicles not made on this earth statement
Right.
that's going around. Most people aren't even aware of that. So, I mean, it's
No, because
it's kinda
okay,
effective.
so watching the news and other things as much as I do, I got about a 30-second blurb on. Oh yeah, by the way, this happened too, and then it went back. So you gotta be looking for it to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because all you see on the news anymore is COVID this or riot that. And, hey, by the way, the Pentagon is releasing who cares?
Yeah,
Let's
it's
all look
almost
at-
in passing before they switch over to news, like
Yeah.
to weather or to traffic.
Right.
It's like, oh, and the Pentagon said this. Now to traffic.
right.
Yeah.
Seems like, well, I'm under the impression that there's probably something more coming somewhat soon.
I
Is this,
don't know. I've been under
you guys
that
get this
impression
feeling?
for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, but maybe it's, I guess, there's this new funding, right? I guess it's in the intelligence budget, this sort of open UFO research funding, but it comes with like stipulations that they have to report a certain amount of what they find to the public on a regular basis, kind of a thing. I don't know if that's going to mean much.
I think, what do they call that now? Space Force?
Or Space
Space
Force.
Force.
Space Force. Oh,
You guys,
yes.
I have a theory. I have a theory about Space Force, you guys.
All
A
right.
really
what's
crazy
this
theory. Well,
let's hear it.
think of all the crazy stuff our government's been building with black budget money, over the past, 40 years, starting with like Operation Paperclip, all these Nazi scientists and they're like time travel and, God knows what they're working on. Our government's been putting shit together for 40 years under black budgets. So who knows what they have, right? We could have spaceships and stuff for all we know. I'm thinking Space Force, how do you get control of all this shit? You militarize it.
Mm-hmm.
Put it under Space Force, then you got control of all this stuff. Otherwise, who else is running it? I mean, who runs all these black budget projects? We don't even know.
Well,
That's
the
my
thing.
theory
They
of what-
diffused
what
it out
Space
to
Force.
the point where nobody knows what the whole picture is.
Yeah.
They can't really just, this place built the power plant, this place built the guidance, everything's so compartmentalized that the whole picture isn't in one place to divulge. And it's in
Right.
private industry, and they have, you can have all the FOIA you want, but private industry doesn't have to honor that.
And just for your information, I went to MUFON site and went through the CMS for Thurston and Olympia in Washington, and there's nothing before 2005, April 23rd, 2005.
That's the earliest.
Yep.
Interesting.
Oh, well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They sold it to Bigfoot.
Well, I'll keep looking. Maybe someday something will turn up because, obviously somebody. It would be impossible that nobody else saw this thing.
Right.
Even if it was only 10 or 20 seconds or however long this thing was kind of poking in. Mm-hmm. But it would be impossible to miss.
Was that after your first sighting?
This is about a year later.
Okay.
And I would also I always throw in the disclaimer that I was not drunk or on drugs either of these two times. Completely sober.
Some of the odd things that happen, and we've had it happen to other abductees, and I've had it happen to myself also, and everything else. It's like you look at something and you say, "Man, I should have 15 reports about this tomorrow because it was just something so amazing that why wouldn't anybody see it?" And then we find out that maybe it was just meant for you to see. Maybe they just showed you.
That's possible.
Did you ever think about that?
Yeah, I've considered that. I mean, the fact that there was nobody else on the street, there was no dogs out, there was no cars driving. So, I mean, I don't know if time travel's involved. Maybe there was a moment in time when, when these aliens knew nobody was going to be looking up on the street, So that was a good time for me to see something.
Yeah, so many of the abductees and other people that have UFO experiences say that it becomes a personal experience where they're just like going, "Hi, we're here. Take a look, and yes, you did see us."
And what's interesting is there's been a lot of cases where there've been like 200 or 300 people, and only 3 people will actually see the UFO because they're the only ones that are essentially programmed to see it. The other ones are basically switched off and not allowed to see it.
Oh.
Right,
So
exactly.
out of their paradigm, they see it, but their brain doesn't even recognize, register it.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's actually common.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have to admit, I didn't report it. So I guess if I'm not going to report it, who's going to report it? It's an uncomfortable thing to try to report something like that, because you don't have entire confidence in yourself, really, after seeing something like that. I've wondered, am I going crazy? Because that's just a bizarre thing to see in the sky, something that big,
Right.
So, I mean, I didn't call the police.
And especially looking at the time period, the early 90s especially, honestly, I mean, as a UFO investigator back then, the crap I dealt with from, "Oh my God, you believe in UFOs?" "Oh yeah, I do. I've seen plenty." And
Saw one last weekend.
and just being an experiencer, seeing one, I can see why you wouldn't report it, and that was common.
I think it's more. I think the onus of reporting paranormal is off. What I'm getting at is with the advent of all the paranormal and UFO shows,
right
now it's almost a point of honor for somebody to come forward and say, "I saw a UFO." You don't want to be left out.
The X-Files really loosened that up a lot.
Sometimes.
Every time I see that, I get told, "Be careful what you wish for." You don't really want that. Bull, I want that. I want to see one.
I think we did last weekend.
I don't know.
We've seen him in the backyard. Come on now.
I was facing the other way. I didn't get to see nothing.
Okay, so you're just one of those people that aren't meant to.
You're not going to,
It was definitely right.
They're going to have to land in the backyard and say, "Cole, come here."
Yeah.
And
that
be
would
like,
be perfect.
"Bye."
Bend over for your anal probe. Here we go.
There's a reason to get rid of the pool.
What?
Landing pad.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, no.
I'm okay with that.
No. What? Of course you're okay with that. That's my backyard. I'm putting a landing pad for the aliens in my backyard.
But, okay, we are not going to Independence Day. We are not going to have the stupid little sign saying, "We love you, aliens." No, hell no. I'm not
She
going
will.
that far. Okay. No, hell no.
That was one of my favorite scenes. Everybody's like, "Yay, the Space Brothers are here," and that disintegrator ray wipes out the city.
Yeah, no. So Matt, when's your Alien movie coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get an alien.
I actually tried to make one at one point back in the mid '90s, and it sort of fell apart. Might try it again. This was back at the peak of the X-Files, though, when that stuff was really popular.
I think X-Files went a long way to actually bring that whole genre and way of thinking into the mainstream, because that was such a popular show.
They did, and they were actually. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were actually before TAPS and and all the paranormal TV shows.
Yeah, they were on back when I was in college.
Yeah.
Which
X-Files.
90s.
X-Files.
X-Files started in like 1990. Yeah, I don't think there actually was a real paranormal TV show back then.
Well, to me, there still isn't.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Well, yeah.
That would have been the only one that actually showed anything
right
to do with any actual areas that had paranormal activity.
Oh, come on. The X-Files was awesome.
Yeah, we even talked about it in my medical technology parasitology class, because that one where the guy became like a huge liver fluke.
Oh yeah.
We were covering that.
Hey,
Joe,
Joe's laughing at you. He says he went to college back in the 50s. Is that true?
Well, wait, isn't your first name started with a K or ended with a K?
No, Eric. E-R-I-C, just like Coop.
That applies to both of you. Don't even.
That's why I'm marking to avoid the conversation.
Yeah, he says he went to college in the 50s.
I went to college.
Yeah, I'm sure he was talking to him.
I started late. I kicked around.
No, that's Barry. Barry, did you go to college in the 50s?
Nope, I can't say that I did. It was in the early 70s, though.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What's this college you speak of?
Right.
College, did we have that back in the 50s?
I actually ran into yesterday when during shift change, ran into another tech who went to the exact same college I went to in Tennessee. It's like, you got to be kidding.
I went to college for a couple days. I worked on some of their buildings.
Nobody goes to Austin P, let me tell you.
It
was a great college back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is
Austin P is still a good college.
Is the fact that we went from UFO to UAP. Now, the Ministry of Defense was using the term UAP,
unidentified
aerial phenomena.
Aerial
phenomena.
Yep.
Phenomena. Dun, dun,
Phenomena.
dun, dun.
Yeah.
Phenomena.
Yes.
Now everybody's got an earworm.
But the minute, according to Nick Pope, the Ministry of Defense was using the term UAP for quite a while before the United States got on board with that. Mm-hmm. And to Nick Pope, it showed the seriousness of how they were actually getting with the UFO field from the government side.
What's a UFT, Joe? Thingy.
Unidentified flying thingy.
I like that one better.
I do. I think that ought to be the new one.
I would like in a presidential address for him to use that term.
An unidentified flying thingy. It could have been a pterodactyl, or it could have been a weather balloon, or it could have been
oh, God.
Well, if it's pterodactyl, it starts with a P, and that just screws with everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
A flying stick could be a UFT.
UFT.
Yeah. Throw a stick, it becomes a UFT.
If it's thrown the right way, it's identified pretty soon.
Oh, yeah. When you get hit by it.
Ouch. Unidentified flying ouchie.
Oh, God.
Oh. So, Christopher Sherwood's the one who actually came out from the Pentagon. He is the DOD's public affairs officer. And supposedly we're expecting more. So, how much more are we expecting, Barry?
So much.
How much more are we expecting of what? I didn't...
coming out of the Pentagon.
Well, for me personally, I don't think there'll be very much coming out of the Pentagon. I think if there's going to do anything, it's going to come out of a Senate committee, because they're starting to talk so much about this stuff that there's going to have to be a Senate. there's going to be a Senate hearing on it, and then they're going to, you know how that goes. They're going to definitely, someone is going to have to do that. I know.
They have bigger stuff to worry about right now.
How many Senate hearings are they going to have on UFTs? I mean, seriously. UAPs. There we go.
Well, like I said,
actually, a lot.
Well, it just seems like they do that to tease, and then you never hear anything.
No.
Or
Right.
they do, but it's like 10 years later, and it's
watered
this
down
massively
shit.
redacted bullshit.
I
comes out.
couldn't honestly
that's right.
believe how big of breaks the Senate takes. Like, how long of vacation periods.
Oh, like a month?
Yeah, like,
Really?
honestly. And this is what they're filling the time they're actually in there with? Like, come on.
They go in there for 2
yeah.
hours?
Well, I already think there's one on the. I think they were talking about one before this was released. I caught up wind about that not too long ago. I was trying to think. Senator Rubio out of Florida, I think, is the one that was trying to put a committee together to find out more about it, and I think he was working on that at the time. So you might want to look at that and see. But every time that the government comes out with this information, it's kind of like what we just got now. Okay, we have a craft, we have all this stuff. Well, that was just saying that. Okay, well. Like we said earlier, don't you think it would have been nice if they would have said, yeah, we have this craft and here's some pictures, and yes, sir, it is from somewhere else, and then throw some pictures on it. I heard someone saying something about entities that had backward knees, and it kind of reminded me of a movie back a long time ago. Contact, exactly.
Yes.
And I was like going, wow, that was a weird movie, and I mean, it was a great movie, actually. Yeah, exactly. But it sounds, immediately like that, and
those are called the Muffin.
Right.
If I remember right, that's the race called the Muffin.
Yeah, and the odd thing about it is that when we were back in, go back to 2003. The Disclosure Project, and yes, Stephen Greer and all that stuff with, and you've got, here's, shoot, can't think of his name, Sergeant, Clifford Stone.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, okay, I was in crash retrieval, and there's 57 entities that we've categorized and everything else. And that was in 2003, and here in 2017, Lou Elizondo comes out and breaks the news about the Tic Tacs and so forth. And then just recently, they came out and said, yes, the Tic Tacs are right. We have some other videos. They showed the same dang videos, didn't they?
Right.
And now they say, okay, we're going to tell you that, yeah, we do have some other crafts that are definitely off this planet. Well, that's pretty much disclosure in itself, right there. I mean, if you really, if you're really looking for it, so.
If you think about the level that our science in itself has gotten to, and I mean, with the Hadron Collider, with the Higgs boson particle, with all of this stuff. We're entering a whole new age of understanding and understanding space and space-time. And with doing that, they got to catch us up on all the stuff that they already know. Otherwise, we're going to surpass them in knowledge, and nobody wants that. Well, in the government, as far as they speak. They don't want that.
I'll tell you one thing. There's rumors out there, Michael Sherratt and everything else, and, when he's done several things and spent most of his time on black eye projects and so forth, researching those. And, good gosh, when you take a look at it and you say, I mean, the government may be 100 years in advance of what we think they are right now. Right. It's kind of like going, NASA, we're still shooting up rockets with heavy fuel and everything else, a Roman candle with people on top of it. Mm-hmm. And the military is flying a craft that's going up. I mean, the SR-71 Blackbird went into the stratosphere, you know, back how many years ago? So imagine what they have now that we don't even know about. You know, they've talked about TR-3Bs for years, and I actually think that those things have been surpassed 10 times over. So I mean, you know, and when you're talking about a space force, there has been rumors and things talking about that we are in space and have done some pretty incredible things, and maybe like the Federation with Star Trek out there right now. So, you know, who in the heck knows? But, you know, every time that you hear something like this and you see it out of the government, all it does, it says, okay, here we go. We're going to get disclosure. Well, until they land on the White House lawn and come out and say, hey, here we are, nobody's going to believe them.
To be honest, I think that still 50% or more of the population wouldn't believe it if they landed on the White House lawn and came out and said, hey, we're from this planet.
Everything is fake news.
Exactly.
Right now.
They really can't land on the White House lawn anymore.
They might get shot.
No, they definitely will get shot.
Yeah, but let me tell you something.
Get off my lawn.
You know, do you shoot at something that could be 1,000 years in advance of you mentally and militarily?
Oh, that's why I hope they do shoot at them, because that's the problem.
No, let's not go there. We don't need to be an intergalactic war too, because that's one we probably lose
we're in the mountains
pretty quickly here.
Hello.
But you got to think too. If they are that advanced, they have researched us. They know us. Friend, they know what that is our president's house. That they know that is where our leader is. Mm-hmm. If our leader shoots at him, we're all gone. Mm-hmm. They're going to take it out on everyone.
I think they just roll their windows up, lock their doors, and keep
they're
going.
If they're way more advanced than us, what is it better if we're in the mountains? They're still going to find us.
Nah.
That's where most of the people go missing from.
EMP. That's all they got to do is drop an EMP. That's all they have to do. Put us back in the Dark Ages.
I don't want that.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, so we've been talking about this before, but with ancient texts and different things, it's possible that this whole scenario is already played out. It's already happened. Like, you think about all of the sightings back, as far back as the beginning of India, as far back, exactly. And you think about all of these devices that we've found, Baghdad batteries and everything like that. Well, who's to say that we weren't there and we did do something stupid and they did EMP us, and hey, guess what? Start over. You guys failed the first round or the second round or the 27th round.
Pretty much what it's going to be, too.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason there's a reluctance to explore Mars. Is, they had an area of Mars of interest, and of course they set the rovers down on the other side. I think what's going to happen is it's going to come out that we were there already.
Yeah.
And
with
came
that,
here and
hold that thought. We have to go to our first break for the night. And when we come back, we'll carry on this conversation and we'll talk more about the Pentagon.
And we will be right back.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Come, you're
And welcome back to S-4. Yeah, so tonight we are talking the alien agenda. And you know what? We have this show planned out like, oh God, a month ago. And the Pentagon just made it easier. Because all of a sudden they come out and say, yep, we have a UFO.
Here's the agenda, guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, talk about this. Okay, I think we will. So, you back, Barry? Is Barry back?
I don't know if Barry is back.
Not Barry.
We changed songs, so our breaks are 1 minute shorter. So
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
So, Matt, what's your knowledge of Roswell?
My knowledge of Roswell
Yeah.
is, well, my parents were just there actually on vacation. You know, they go around the country. That was a spot they stopped at. You know, you have like all the alien
I want to go there.
souvenirs and stuff, little
Terrestrial
souvenir
highway.
shops. There was like a coffee shop or something.
But
But Roswell, New Mexico. So there was a crash there, right, in 1947.
Yep.
Yep.
And you know what's it, you guys? I saw I don't know if you guys remember this. It was a TV special, I think, probably in a few years ago. But you know, in one of the photos, you know, there's this officer who's holding up some piece of what looks like tinfoil, right?
Yep.
And this is supposedly the cover up. You know, he's like, yeah, see, it's just this weather balloon, but he's holding a memorandum in his hand, and it's like facing. He's got it tilted down, so the letters are facing the camera, and they used some modern software to read this memorandum. You know, they had to zoom in on the picture, and like the program, you know, had to sort of guess at some of the words, but pick like a most likely, but could put most of the sentences together.
Right.
And this memorandum is talking about dead aliens. The memorandum this guy's holding, it's talking about an alien craft. It's talking about dead aliens. That's on this memorandum he's holding as he's talking about, you know, posing
Weather
for
balloon.
pictures of weather balloon parts.
The
right.
picture, the expression on his face,
He was pissed off.
Jesse Marcel's face.
Yep.
He would have known
Yeah.
where the damn weather balloon was.
Yeah.
And when the Air Force trotted out that Project Mogul BS explanation, Mogul took place like 5 or 6 years after Roswell.
Well, and, you know, and when they had the 50-year anniversary, the Air Force came out and supposedly reinvestigated, and they said it was this dummy.
God, okay.
Yeah, Project
But,
Mogul.
You know.
Yeah, the dummy that didn't exist yet.
No, that
exactly.
dummy didn't exist back in 1947, so they just shot themselves in the foot again. Huh.
Do you know how many times they've shot themselves in the foot with, oh, it was just swamp gas, guys? Like,
That was the one that got J.L. Hynek, was more or less browbeaten into giving that explanation for that Michigan UFO flap. And he regretted that to the day he died. He really he came out and admitted that was BS and that he was more or less forced to say that.
So in the Project Blue Book TV series they came out with, oh God, what was that monster? Episode
Flatwood?
2. Yeah, the Flatwood
Yes.
monster. And they
Flatwood
tried to
monster.
They tried to say it was an owl. Like, really?
No.
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 Oh yeah, I remember that show.
Asshole.
Totally.
You gotta be joking me. An owl?
That was a total disinformation project, wasn't it? Project Blue Book.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely,
And, you know, they
100%.
supposedly shut it down in 1969, but no, they didn't. They came up with a whole other project. I can't remember the name of the project. What they call it today is ATIP. ATIP to me is the modern version of Project Blue Book.
yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Same thing with TTSA.
I don't know. I think TTSA, in my opinion, obviously, is really just kind of a distraction. Hey, everybody, look! The lead singer of Blink-182 made up his own UFO thing with a whole bunch of government people. Everybody look at them because they know what the hell they're doing. Not really.
Right, but there's your ATIP. There's a tip inside of that. So that's the whole ball of wax, and those are the ones, you know, in the History Channel, you got Lou Alzonzo on the History Channel, and they're all going, at the end of everything that they show you, every night they tell you the alien threat. This is the alien threat, the alien threat. You know, I've heard it so many times. And again, going back to 2003 and Carolyn Roslin, what's she saying? You know, Walter Ron Baum said the fifth false flag is the alien threat. You know, mark my words, it's the alien threat. It's the alien threat. The same terminology is used today, you know, on the History Channel last year when they were running those shows. So, I mean, it kind of gets to you, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I want to clear something up because, you know, we can have so many shows for S4 just us sitting around talking when we're not doing the show during the week.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And we were sitting, I guess, Wednesday night talking about alien races. And the fact that not all humans are scientists. Not all humans are social scientists. So how can we categorize an entire race, such as the Greys, for example, as all being scientists? They have their own culture. They have their own... That race, for example, has their own culture. But we label them as scientists because that's the only ones that we encounter down here on Earth.
We have done it too long.
Yeah.
I have, and I'm going to be the first to say it.
Okay.
To the entire S4 community, I am sorry for our alien racism, because it is. That's exactly what it is.
Right.
It is just another type of racism that exists out in the world, and we need to quit it.
It's another form of labeling an entire culture.
Alien lives matter.
There's gotta be some, they abduct enough cows that there has gotta be an alien McDonald's out there.
Right? I would think.
They come all the way to Earth for the Kobe steak.
Oh, wow.
Well, you know, you think about it, since we were talking about the Muffin, you got the Muffin, you got the Greys, you got the Reptilians, and we only encounter what comes to Earth. We only encounter the, I guess, career fields, if you want to call them career fields.
But I mean, even if you think about a spaceship itself, you have to have your mechanic. You have to have your pilot. You have to have, different specific jobs within
I think
the
movie Battleship really showed that well.
I like the
Did you notice that about Battleship? When you actually saw the aliens in the movie, you had the mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
You had the signal guys. They were the ones that were tapping into the satellites to phone home, essentially. You know, and I would imagine the ones that were retrieving the bodies that we shot were the medics. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, with any culture, you have to have your different jobs or it doesn't work. It just wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have...
I've heard some abductees describe those Greys as apparently seeming like workers. Like, there'll be other aliens around, but they don't, they're sort of viewing, they're off, not really doing physical work, like these little guys are doing all the physical work. Which makes me wonder if maybe they're not artificial. Like if they're sent for the dangerous jobs, I mean they're sent down to Earth to pick people up and stuff. Maybe they're artificial intelligence of some sort. Somebody who'd be expendable, right?
And that is a theory I've heard many times. But on the flip side of that, we have encountered Greys that aren't artificial. They are actually a biological creature. But the ones you're talking about, oftentimes they're working with reptilians, they're working with mantids. There's like 3 different races working together on certain abduction cases. What the importance of those specific abduction cases is anybody's guess. You know,
have you guys seen this documentary called Love and Saucers about this old guy who paints these pictures? He claims to be he was abducted over and over again through his whole life, but he's painted hundreds of giant paintings of his story, of his abduction experiences and shit. These paintings are beautiful. There's a documentary about him, and he talks about, he shows all his paintings that tells the story of his crazy stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen that. If you haven't, you should look that up. It's called Love and Saucers.
I have to look it up.
But he describes all the various aliens, like there's the Greys who appear to be doing all the work, then there's like this sort of thing that looks like a praying mantis that kind of is in the background. And then there's like a guy who's kind of hairy, a sort of hairy, looks like a cousin Id or something.
Are you talking
and
David Higgins?
Those guys are more observers. What?
David Higgins?
I can't remember the guy's name. Is he a painter? Does he have paintings of all this stuff?
Yes.
Maybe that's him. I'd have to look up the movie to see if that was his name. I can't remember.
David Higgins, and the other one could be, didn't Billy Myers do some paintings also?
Billy Myers had a couple, yeah. But if you're talking like straight up abduction scenario paintings, I would say David Higgins is who you're talking about.
To me, Billy Myers was more of a contactee. He wasn't an abductee, and I know we haven't discussed this in a while. So the contactee is the one that is encountering.
David Huggins, that's his name. 72 years old.
Okay,
that's the guy.
Yeah. So the contactee is the one that's in contact with different races, and they're having a pleasant experience, generally speaking. Whereas the abductee is the one that's taken against their will, going through traumatic events, and that's really where the difference is. And to me, Billy Myers is more of a contactee than an abductee.
True, I could agree with you on that. Sometimes though I wonder if not some of the experiences of an abductee may be more good, but what they remember the most is the stuff that may be happening via MyLabs because they want to know why they have been visited and chose by this other race. What do you think of that?
Right?
Maybe.
I also, with that, I think some of your contactees actually have Stockholm Syndrome from an abduction experience.
Yes.
Could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either that or they really like the probing.
We're not gonna.
Oh my gosh!
We're not gonna go there.
Cole just went there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Cole always just goes there. God.
That is Cole's main purpose is to go there.
Yeah, that's it. That's to go there. Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
It's probing time in Cole's world.
I'm just saying, if we do have an alien invasion, you guys will all be standing there with your guns and other pointy sticks. I'll be standing there with an actual pointy stick and telling those shitheads to turn around.
Okay.
It's their turn.
Pointy stick in the bag.
I can see you doing that.
Yeah. Better than standing there with a bottle of anomalies.
The sad part is I can actually see you doing that. Okay.
Oh.
God.
How is that the sad part?
Oh, you're gonna get shot by the first alien that lands here.
What happened to Cole? Where'd that pile of ashes come from?
Yeah.
That's from the flashlight they're holding.
Mm-hmm. No, jeez. Okay.
It's not really a flashlight; it's an atom destabilizer. But yeah.
Okay, off of the.
So you think you guys think the aliens are actually running everything? What are the chances? If you guys have seen this movie, They Live, right? That John Carpenter movie.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
With Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Well, the aliens, the humans were just sort of, kept from realizing what's going on through a bunch of subliminal messages and hypnotism and all of that. And
right.
I don't know. I kind of think there's a distinct possibility that might be going on. Something to that degree.
I honestly don't think so, but that's just my opinion. I mean, there's always the possibility of something like that, I guess.
I think about that sometimes.
I think we're surrounded. I think the planet is surrounded.
Well,
yeah.
I don't think we're unknown to other species. I mean, obviously not, but I don't know. You can't underestimate the evil of humanity, and they've been working on subliminal marketing and crap like that for decades.
Years. Yes.
Well, it's like
years
last
and
weekend
years
we had a cookout here, and while the girls were playing with some ghost apps, I mentioned something. When I came home, there was an ad for that something in my Facebook feed.
Right.
Oh yeah.
These phones
Right.
pick up, and I don't. How they knew specifically, it's kind of scary. How did they pick my voice out?
It's always listening.
Yeah, but how does it
Yeah,
know
because it's
who
listening.
I am?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Did
It's-
everybody in our group
if
get
I
that
mention
ad?
if I mention Coke, because we have certain aspects open on our computers, Facebook will now put Coca-Cola on all of our computers for an ad in the upcoming week.
I sure want some Pepsi
Yeah.
right now.
Well,
No,
now it's
look at
confused.
Now it's like, oh no.
You just crashed Facebook.
Well, it's the same thing with Alexis or anything else. I mean, if you're sitting around and you're talking about,
Man, our Google
oh,
picks
so
up
and
some
so's
weird
got it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, somebody picks up, thinking about getting a cat, and the next thing you know, you got cat litter, you got cat food, you got everything else coming across your stuff. It's like immediately right afterwards, it happens.
Well, I don't know how many times we sat here doing this show, and all of a sudden, Cole and Kayla's
Google.
Google thing will start saying, "Oh yes, so aliens really kill cattle," and I mean, it'll go off on a tangent about whatever we're talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does that when we're watching like historical shows like Outlander or anything like that. And I'm like, dude, it's not even your time period. Quit it. Like,
Yeah.
So, what's your opinion on the agenda? I know some of the races do come to this planet. They're abducting humans for the purpose of DNA to create hybrids.
I think we're a DNA preserve. I think that's what the Earth is. I think we're stocked up with a variety of DNA, probably some stuff hidden inside the planet. I think aliens are, that's what they use us for. They pick us up. They'll pick up, drop off a Bigfoot. We'll wander around for a while. Might get sighted. They'll pick him up again, take him someplace else, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I brought up this theory like 2 years ago that I do think Bigfoot is abducted like humans are. I honestly do.
what if we're like Northwest Trek?
The zoo?
A drive-by zoo.
I've got to wonder because, according to some people, the biodiversity on this planet is beyond the norm that you see out. And the idea of this being a botanical and DNA preserve, it's
we're seeded. We're seeded up to the max.
Yeah.
Seeded to the max on this planet.
Basically, what you're saying is we're basically like Noah's Ark, and they're just waiting to use us.
We're
like the refrigerator in a laboratory,
think
just
of us like
stuffed
a storage
with
facility.
DNA samples.
DNA samples.
like alive, like a.
Do you mean more the Earth or humans themselves?
The Earth.
I would say the Earth.
Oh, the whole planet, animals, humans, animals. I mean, they take, obviously they're interested in cattle. They use cattle for something.
No, not just cattle. There have been a lot of cases of wildlife found mutilated, much the same way the cat mutilations are.
Well,
That's
Yeah,
true.
but it's a good.
Yes.
It might be.
Well,
with
if they find another planet that could be hospitable for life, they'll take whatever's on Earth that have the best chance of survival there, and go take some specimens. Maybe it may not be a human, might be some sea life, or birds, or who knows what, right? But there's all kinds of DNA to choose from.
Take that a step further, because I know you've heard all the theories, Barry, where some people think it's the aliens that actually planted humans on this planet from the beginning of time.
That's true. Right.
So if you take those theories, and with what Matt's talking about, with we're basically a biolab for different races, that would kind of correlate with the fact that they planted us here to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does, but it also opens up a can of worms in my book because because you've got a situation where, okay, why did they seed us? Did they seed us to actually have us as a slave workers, just like they do these AI?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then are some of the is there actually I'll throw this out. I think that possibly there may be different types of aliens that are trying to lead us to a spiritual raising of frequencies to get us to a certain level, and others that want to keep us down,
right?
So that we are that way. And I think there's a actual battle going on because there's been some hints of it that we've seen. Let's take the orange orbs, for instance. They'll come in, and then all of a sudden they're driven away by some white light craft, or else military will come in directly after them and start dispersing, and they leave. Same thing goes with the abductees. The ones that have these encounters with different types of craft. Are they not experiencing, and are they not picked up by kind of going, hey, what have they done to this abductee? Why doesn't he buy all the stuff that that we're pushing out there right now? There's an agenda by the government that is definitely to make you sedentary and to just look at the news, everything else. These people come in, they don't think of anything else. They just go home, they buy everything. They got their spoons ready. They're going to suck up whatever fake news that they want. They wake up the next morning, go to work, and do that kind of thing. And then there's the other folks that are not, and a lot of those seem to be abductees. I think they want to know, hey, why doesn't this take effect on them? Why doesn't it work for them?
Well, what's
which causes.
What's interesting too is when they're looking at humans, and I've said this on the show before, but you're an abductee, your family's an abductee, it's a genetic line. You go get a tattoo.
That's multi-generational. It's multi-generational. It's been proven.
You go get a tattoo. You go get an ear piercing, nose piercing. You do something to alter your body. You're going to get abducted that night. And they're going to look at your tattoo and go, what the hell is this? And, it's been documented. So for any new listeners that want to read about this kind of stuff, pick up, again, Dr. David Jacobs' Secret Life of Abduction. That was my first book I ever bought in 1994. And it told you everything, as far as the alien, as far as the gray hybrid program goes. But
exactly.
It's
great book. It is interesting because it goes far in between. I had a lady that was about 7 years ago had a statement from a group, an alien group, and it was like going, okay, we're going to take care of you. We're going to put you here. You've got to do this and do this. And that group is very big into gold. They like gold. And, there is a certain thing that maybe they are here to mine resources and do that kind of stuff and take that away. And in actuality, kind of enslave you. But at the same time, you get to live this way and you get to live this way while they're building palaces of gold,
that's the premise behind They Live. The sellouts got, that one guy went from bum to Lexus driver, it was...
Right, exactly. So there's so many scenarios that play out in this thing because we are dealing with so many different races. And, if you go back to the time when Eisenhower, and we're talking about the Geneva treaties and everything else, I mean, look at Yeah, Granada. Thank you, Geneva. What? But anyway,
that's Geneva Convention.
Yeah, that's right. But and there was rumors that there was different alien groups. Some were trying to offer spiritual guidance, and others were trying to would offer military. And at the time, with the areas of the West, military was very big in it. And that goes along with his speech that comes out in 1959 when he leaves office, and he goes ahead and says, beware of the industrial military complex.
Yeah. Well, that's also the plot line between Babylon 5, where you have the one group of aliens that believe that evolution is best served by conflict, sort of a Darwinistic, and the other one is more spiritual. It's like the question, what the dark side, so to speak, asks, what do you want? And the side of light is like, who are you? Like, one is appealing to your animal nature, and the other was trying to appeal to a more introspective spiritual nature.
Right, exactly. And even the abductions itself is very strange because, most people report seeing a 30 or 40 foot craft, okay? But once they get inside that craft is almost gigantic. I mean, it seems to be endless.
Like the TARDIS.
TARDIS, bigger on the inside.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Just like a Doctor Who and his TARDIS, and it's an amazing thing. Then you have the ones that believe the consciousness, and I'm kind of leaning more towards that because some people actually believe that the craft is a real entity itself, living being, and in a living consciousness. Right,
that's what
exactly.
David Ayers states when he saw when he was taken to Area 51 and shown a power plant. He said it was bioreactive and it was conscious.
Conscious, exactly. So it goes in so many different varieties, but it's all related to race and their beliefs. The Serpico files that came out back, how many years has that been? When they're talking about the Reagan era and all that other stuff that came out, and the reticulans and everything else. So very, very interesting stuff. But it's all over the board, and I would expect it to be that way because of all the different races we're dealing with.
Well, if you ever thought of it this way, like, humans as an entire species are a conquering species. What we do is we go from one area of land to another and we take over. We take resources, we build houses, we build cities, we destroy things. That's
like
what we do. Yes. So
and
what
that,
if
that might be the point
what
where
if
aliens,
the aliens are just looking at us and going, we want to make sure that if you guys do ever get to the level where you are going into space and you are doing these things, that you are not just going to come, destroy our areas, kill our people, and build until you need to move again.
Yeah, so we're not there,
Right.
I think.
Right, but I mean,
Yeah,
there's
know,
a
well,
culture, like,
there's
if
a
you make
rumor that
that-
we were sort of
To be a
told not to come
spacefaring
back to the
race,
moon.
and the level of development we are, if, say, we made a breakthrough and we could travel, we would be a scourge we would be a disease in the universe.
well,
and that's what I'm
who's
saying.
to say we're not already? Because
That's what I'm
we
saying.
don't
They might
know.
look at us and go, "Oh my God, there's another colony of them. We need to make sure that they're not going to do what
just
these guys
that.
did."
What did we do back in the 1940s and 50s? We were experimenting with atomic energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do we know that our atomic energy wasn't actually going into space? We know it goes across
Oh,
the
it was
planet.
gamma ray, but yeah, the gamma
Right.
rays did. I mean, that was
Yes,
And
absolutely.
And if you
Yeah, it's
remember,
endless.
when we started playing with atomic energy is when you started seeing more and more UFO sightings come out.
Right, and
Because
that's
they
what
want
I'm
to know
saying.
what the hell we were doing.
That's what I'm saying. Even if we
Well-
have been in space before, even if we've been on several different colonies in space, different planets, different whatever, if it always goes the same way, if we always go, we invade, we take over, they don't want us. Whatever penal colonies, whatever colony that we happen to be on, they don't want us to get to the point where we can do that again.
I think there's some logic to that.
Yes, and there is, and that's one of the reasons why I think that there are people that and I think that it's why they want to raise consciousness and become so that we're all more aware.
Yeah, so that we're more
yes,
docile
exactly. So
before we get out there.
Out there, exactly.
Galactic assholes.
Right. So you raise frequencies, you raise that stuff, and then it allows you to happen. But you mentioned the military. Look in 1973, all the people, in 1973, every SAC base in the United States was visited by some sort of UFO or had some kind of UFO thing. That was the busiest year of them all. And then through 73 through 75, a lot of the areas had flaps, major sightings. They were in Ohio, Indiana, and they were seen all over the place.
I would.
So what's that about?
I would even go so far as to say, one of the reasons could be that they are taking us and manipulating DNA and making us hybrids to some degree with certain races and whatnot, is maybe they're trying to, in a sense, breed some particular qualities out of our race before we do get to that point.
Here's my problem. How do you know which ones to trust?
There you go. That's the $1 million question right there.
It absolutely is. Because while they're trying to spiritualize you and make you conscious, how do you know they're not trying to make you conscious so they can manipulate, make you more docile, so you are the slave race they wanted the human race to be? Because if that theory holds any water, and they created us to be a slave race, and the human race turned out to be too barbaric for them to control or manipulate, and they're trying to take that out of us so that we can be that slave race that they want us to be. It sounds far-fetched, I get that. But what if?
Well, it's the same thing that we got right now. I mean, when we look at the world today, we've been dumbed down by certain things, and so we're dumbed down, and some of the folks out there just want the government, everybody to take care of them. So what does that lead into? That leads you down the path of saying, "Oh, take care of me, do this, do that, and I'll do anything." I'll sit there, and then when they put you in a camp and they want you to work and do the things that they do, don't worry, we'll take care of you. So I kind of go, we got a catch-22. I mean, I'd rather take the spiritual high road than I would the low road of just saying, hey, what we got right now, because there's a lot of evidence that we've been dumbed down. Look at the fluoride in our water. Look at the other things that are happening that they have come up with, that affect us in certain ways,
Right.
In one of the iterations of the Twilight Zone series, I believe it was in the 80s, the saucers land, and the UN and all the leaders of the UN said, just give us 24 hours and we'll prove to you we're worth saving. The aliens say, sure. So everybody signs this huge peace agreement, and the aliens go, you idiots, we bred you to be warriors. Now you show this in your heart of hearts, you're just pacifists. And it's like, the bomb will begin in 30 seconds.
Yeah. Right.
And Matt's over there taking notes for his next movie.
Yeah. Quit talking so fast, you guys. I'm trying to write this all down here.
It's okay. It's on the archives.
Well, maybe our genetics mix well with other things. If they made us with some other creature, they'd come up with something that would be good for a certain planet with certain gravity.
I've seen
Human
pictures
beings.
of Dog Man and
Human
Goat
beings maybe we're only good for this planet or for these conditions. If you consider gravity
Well,
and
we
the
are
atmosphere and all
a
that.
fragile species for.
And we'll probably never know.
Well, you look at look at the Babylonian carvings and all these man beasts and stuff. Who's to say that those didn't really exist in some form?
Oh, like with bird heads, people with dog heads and bird heads and all that, like Egyptian stuff.
The Egyptian pantheon, and then you have the Babylonians that, it was a lion's body with a man's head on it.
Berserkers.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Weird stuff like that. That seems like well, there will never be answers because forever, we'll never have the total truth as the total answer because every answer opens up the door to a myriad of more questions.
Right.
I'd like to know what's under the Sphinx. Isn't there supposed to be some gigantic empty space or something? Apparently some large object or something.
Hawass got whatever was in there.
Well, so according to ancient
I
aliens,
actually think that. I think it's empty now for sure, but it was full at one time, and we'll never know. It's just like the giants and everything else because they keep certain things away from us.
Mm-hmm.
It's hidden. I mean, they do their darndest to stay towards a history that they wanted to create.
Also, Bob Lazar thinks that ship that he worked on was an archaeological find. That was his impression, that it was found. It wasn't given, to the government.
You talking about Roswell?
I'm talking about Bob Lazar. That guy.
All right.
Right.
Yeah. Where
S4.
he was working. Yeah, S4. Yeah. That's his opinion. Is that ship he worked on was discovered somehow, like it was an archaeological find, like it was dug up.
Well, here we go again with.
You should check and see what's over in Antarctica.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'm just going, hallelujah, there's Antarctica.
Maybe like a Nazi
the whole Antarctica
underground base or something.
I mean to tell you, the stuff that I've heard of Antarctica is...
Well, it's too easy to make bullcrap up about Antarctica because who can go there and independently verify?
Oh, hell. I'll go there.
Right.
Well, no, I mean...
Try. I'm with you, but I mean, it is so long.
You have to get clearance to go. You have to get clearance to go to Africa.
You just can't buy a ticket to
right. You can't buy a ticket and head over there. You have to be either stationed there. You have to be allowed to
go back into the Army.
Oh God.
Yeah. and
nobody flies over it anymore.
No,
I don't think people fly over, except remember Admiral Byrd did, right? And he flew beyond the pole and supposedly saw some inner jungle with woolly mammoths walking around.
Right. Well, some of the things that
Admiral Byrd.
Yep.
And they chalked it up. They chalked that whole thing up to he was being poisoned by the fumes from his cook stove.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
They couldn't disgrace
that was a hell of a trip.
Well, they couldn't disgrace him completely because he was a national hero.
Yep.
That's back when we had heroes. He was, he was the rock star of his era.
Right. So we had to make up some reason that there was some kind of mental.
Right. He was stoned on camp fuel fumes.
Yeah.
Right.
Through no fault of his own.
Right. Exactly. Well, look at some of the things that look at the battle down there that we had where we sent fleets. It's still documented that there was a very odd and we got into a battle down there and again it was kind of closed off.
And that's
exactly.
That's when they pull us out of Antarctica.
Here's the way that I look at it.
Right.
If there is absolutely nothing to hide in these places, then they wouldn't be blacked out in the first place.
Right.
Yes, exactly. And they do it even in the United States. The areas where, back in the early 1900s in the Grand Canyon, where they found a storehouse of Egyptian goods in the mountain. Is currently right now off base. It's a natural and national thing. We own it, but there is areas in there we cannot go into. There are areas in all kinds of national areas. Right,
actually,
exactly.
Well, I read an article one time that they found some. Now I may have it backwards. They found copper in Egypt that was isotopically identical to Michigan copper.
Yes.
They looked at that as proof that there was actually a trading alliance between that somehow they were getting between, Egypt and, Michigan.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. And you look at that area.
The mound builder culture, the Mississippian culture, there was this immense trading culture in this, in the continental United States at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And we still don't know who they were completely. We know some of it just sort of like the Anasazi. They disappeared or were replaced, and there's no record of how they, what their existence was, other than these mounds and, some of the trade they find.
There's so many cultures and so many things that we have lost through the passing of time that we are never going to understand, that we're never going to get back.
So I'm curious,
Yeah.
as a director, which is your favorite alien movie?
My favorite alien movie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Close Encounters of the Third Kind at the theater when I was a kid, and that's always been a personal favorite. I think that's a pretty accurate movie. Other than that, I like 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't know if you'd call that an alien movie, but it's sort of an alien.
At its core.
Yeah, I would definitely call that an alien movie.
Contact is good. You guys are talking about Contact.
Love Contact. That latest one, the latest one that was sort of a thinking person, based on the theory that if you learn a language, your brain begins to function in that language, and that was Arrival. And when the main character learns the hexapod's language, her brain gets to where it can travel time, and she sees glimpses of the future, and I love that one. I think that was one of the best thought out.
It pissed me off in the end when we shot her down, but they knew we were going to shoot her down.
Do you know, I gotta say that
Which one? No, in the one with the one I'm talking about, it actually, you couldn't hide the fact that they were there, and she's actually addressing she's at a UN function, and the Chinese general that she talked down from,
Send me a link to that one.
It's a very good one, because she had traveled in the future, and the Chinese guy tells her what message it was she gave him in order to. It's one of the movies you can't get up in the middle of, go take a leak, grab a beer, you come back, you've lost the thread. It's one of those you actually have to watch pretty much end to end because of all the time loops.
One of the most amazing movies that come to mind for this thing for me personally has anybody ever seen The Knowing?
Yes, I love that movie.
Yeah, The Knowing is like what we talk about all the time. You see abductees are having experiences where they're watching the earth burn and terrible things happening, and they're shown all these things, and then what happens? There is they take certain people off the planet and they drop them off at the end on another planet.
Do you know,
kind of like a Noah's Ark type story.
Right, exactly.
Worthy.
Weirdly enough, one of my favorite alien movies is Cocoon.
Loved it.
I love
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we liked
great
that movie
movie.
so much, though, because the aliens were very human. I mean, they had human emotions. They were, basically they were us that glowed in the dark and could float.
Mm-hmm.
They were
I like
enlightened.
the ones where the
They were enlightened
alien is
beings.
so alien that we don't have any common ground whatsoever. They think alien, they look alien, they act alien. And, that's part of what I liked about Arrival. What the creatures said and their spoken language did not reflect what they were trying to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
They were so alien to our experience. Those are the kind I like.
Now, what about the people that have seen these images of like a glimmer going through the woods and so forth? Just kind of like what the heck was that movie? Gosh dang it! And it makes that weird noise, click noise. Oh, shoot!
Oh yeah.
No. It's
there was one, A Quiet Place, where you had to be quiet, or the little kid had the toy and it made noise, and these things came out of nowhere and just scarfed him.
Yeah.
No, this thing was a warrior. It was eating people. But it was invisible, kind of like thing, and it would come back and just.
Which one?
No, I don't think it was. I can't remember the darn name of it, but and I'm sorry about it.
Quiet Place, that's where everything you had to be very quiet, or they'd hear you and come and attack.
Yeah, but they literally just took the alien from Starship Troopers and put it in it. Like it was the same alien.
Well, it kind of looked like the one from Voyager, the species from Fluid Space.
849. Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, he came and he destroyed the Borg.
I like the Borg.
Okay, I gotta say real quick too. You have 10 minutes to get your final vote in for Creature Battle.
Yep, we will be announcing the winner of Creature Battle in the third hour,
which is Kraken versus Leviathan.
Wow.
Leviathan
That's a tough
calamari.
Yes.
So get your vote in on the website, www.s-4radio.com, or in the Fourth Moon Paranormal group. Get your vote in.
So someone on Twitter posted a picture of the UFO vehicle that the Pentagon has.
Really?
Yeah, it's the truck from Tesla. It says definitely not of this earth.
No. I think if they really wanted disclosure, they would show the UFO from Roswell, or one of the or from Kecksburg, or from Kingman, Arizona, or even from Rendlesham.
Well, the Rendlesham one actually took off again.
Right.
It was hurting. Or am I thinking, which one left a trail of sparks? Flatwoods, wasn't it?
Yeah.
One of them had,
Yes. But there's so many out there that you could choose from. But the Keckelsburg one was like the Nazi bell almost. It looked like it traveled through time.
That's what the skeptics say too. But who's to say they didn't get the Kecksburg bell or the Nazi bell from the aliens, which is why it looks the same.
Right. Well, what were the names of the Nazi UFOs that they were made? No, they had they started with an H. I can't. Hubenars or something like that. And I apologize. My German's not good, but I think they had 3 different categories of them, and that's what they were supposed to be seen in Antarctica at that one point, when they were saying they were having a battle. But there's been pictures of them and everything else on the internet from way back in those times. So, the Nazis definitely had somebody talking to them that made them discover something that we did not have at the time.
And we brought those scientists to Montauk, New York.
Right, exactly. What went on them?
Yeah, Operation Paperclip.
Yeah. But
All
what
kinds
else
of
went
weird
on?
stuff. All
Yeah,
kinds
what
of
else
weird
went
shit's
on
going down
to
in Montauk.
Montauk? Yeah. There's rumors of the chair there, and all of that stuff. So, Ooh.
And I like JoJo's comment in the chat room, thinking one thing people assume is that precious humans didn't travel by sea. Even if it was 5 to 12,000 years ago, looking at Antarctica, one can clearly see that a seafaring community existed.
Yeah.
So, what happened to the seafaring community?
They died out.
Pole shift, and they find fossil remains of warm weather creatures in Alaska and in the Antarctic, and I wonder if one of our pole shifts didn't turn that from a temperate area to the ice, the ice cap it is now.
Yes, exactly, or else it was actually going deep off the end of it. Suppose it was actually taken and frozen that way by some other people that wanted to hide something, and then we still have. We've never talked about Hollow Earth on this show, have we?
I love that.
Actually, we have talked Hollow Earth. I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump back just really quick to the Nazi Bell experiment. The thing that I also found super interesting about that is in the place where that was, the Nazis created their own henge.
Yes.
Yes.
The test platform. It's
exactly,
like a
and it
hinge.
looks like a concrete stone hinge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Though supposedly, now I remember hearing Jim Marrs interviewed, the late Jim Marrs, and he was talking about how apparently the field that the bell generated was damaging to the observers. You had to get out of range, and that was the idea behind that hinge. Is they had to have a place where they could tether this thing and control it remotely.
I just find it interesting that it happened to be in a hinge form. That was I was like, weird.
That's awesome that they had to keep them away from that, yet America put, 10,000 people on a boat and said, look at this cloud we're going to make for the atomic bomb testings.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
I have a biased opinion on the atomic bomb testings. I can't really go there, but...
No, go. I want to hear this.
By the way, I gotta say this real quick. I found something on these UFOs that they were in Germany. They were called the HAUNEBU 1, 2, and 3, I believe.
Haunev? Yeah, the Haunev. HAUNEV? Haunev 1, 2, 3. Okay.
How's that spelled?
HAUNUV.
HAUNEBU.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And with that, we usually take our second break.
All right, we will be back.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4. So it is third hour. We are going to talk about the creature battles real quick.
Creature battle.
Kayla, who won between Leviathan and the Kraken?
Holy cow, was it close. And we had
It
so
was
many
a
votes
Kraken,
for
wasn't it?
both of them.
What?
It was ridiculous. Actually, with the last couple of votes that just came in here, it looks like the Leviathan actually took the lead right there at the end.
Oh my God, no.
Oh, absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
hell, the Kraken.
I agree.
I would
agree.
agree that it would totally be the Leviathan.
I do too.
Oh,
It would
right.
I think it's
eat
still
the
a
tentacles
all
right
right.
off.
Right.
No, well, what was
Yeah.
that? What was your favorite comment, Cole? You said there was a comment that you liked. Somebody gave for.
All right, somebody on our website left that they voted for the Leviathan. Why? We haven't seen the Leviathan in a while, and he's been saving his energy.
And he's
The
hungry.
Kraken.
Right.
And Izzy is in the chat room. She says, "Release the Kraken." Yeah.
But yeah, actually, by only a matter of a couple of votes, the Leviathan ended up taking the lead in the end there.
Yeah.
So
No.
our next creature battle.
He was in my favorite movie, don't even.
Well, actually, no.
Atlantis the Lost Empire.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Disney movie?
Never seen it.
Oh, you gotta watch
now
that.
you gotta
Alright.
watch it.
Seriously, all I can remember from that entire movie is that stupid little saying from that guy that he goes, "Look, I built a bridge. It took me like 3 seconds."
Yeah. What do we got coming up next?
All
week?
right, our next creature battle is going to be small creatures. We're going with brownies versus gnomes.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Now, Joe,
You know what?
keep the comments PG.
That's a close one because the brownies can be badass when they want to be. So when you
But
look,
oh, so can a gnome.
so good, no, yeah, but everyone thinks of the brownies as a harmless little creature,
Little docile
that,
creatures.
that cleans your house and but you piss them off,
Wait
they
until they're
will kill
hungry.
your cows, they will kill you, they will kill your harvest, they will kill everything in your life.
Yep.
Don't piss off the brownie.
No, brownies
true.
are freaky little dudes.
Now the
They
gnome, however, does have pointy sticks.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
Pointy sticks, pickaxes, and all kinds
Right.
of fun little things.
Wait, I just got
All
back. You
kinds
guys
of
talking
fun.
about Hollow Earth?
Oh, we
Is that
haven't
what-
talked about it.
is that what this is?
We did a show on Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
Uh,
get your votes in this week for the next creature battle.
Well, there's a lot of late Native American lore that kind of supports the idea of a hollow earth.
Oh yeah.
There's scientific facts that support it, actually. A big list of stuff. I guess, up in the Arctic, birds migrate further north during the winter instead of going south, which would make more sense, right? Where do they go?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
The moon, NASA admits that whenever the moon is struck by something, it rings like a bell is the term they used, which would suggest the moon is hollow.
Right.
Well, there's been several people that have come out and said that the moon, scientists that have come out and said that the moon could be an artificial satellite that was towed into our orbit. That it just shouldn't be there like it is. It's just too perfect.
Just one perfect moon. Yeah, I don't think there's
Right.
another planet that just has one perfect big moon like that. Is there?
No.
Most planets have debris. They'll have all kinds of junk floating around, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and most of our we do now since the space age.
So this is
Since
why I don't
Starlink.
think we're ever going to build a space station on the moon, because I think it's kind of already one, and it doesn't belong to us. There's sort of a rumor that we were kicked off the moon, back in the 70s, told not to come back.
I always think about Neil Armstrong. I just
Yeah.
can't help it. I always think about Neil
Oh, me
Armstrong's
too.
comment.
And his reticence to talk about really, he came back. He's first man to step foot on the moon, and very reticent to talk about anything about his experience. He was very close-lipped about it.
Oh, very.
Very. Edgar
Well,
Miller.
who was the guy who said he was saying Yeah, there's a line of them up on the ridge. They're
Neil
watching us. Do you
Armstrong.
remember that? That was him who said that?
Yeah, that was him. It was on a medical band channel.
All
right.
They forgot to mute.
And they blacked that part out.
Yeah, he's here. They're watching us. There's a line of something to that effect. But yeah, they were. He admitted that they were being observed.
Yeah.
And so many of the astronauts come back, even the ones that just do orbital.
There's only one I know of from the old timers that came back and said he didn't see anything. I can't remember which one that was.
Edgar Mitchell.
Was it? Okay.
Edgar Mitchell could not describe. He would be asked about what he saw on the moon, and he would say, "I don't remember."
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I don't remember anything.
Yeah. So
I don't remember
either. The only thing that I remember Edgar Mitchell ever saying was something about a monolith on a moon
Phobos.
of Mars.
Phobos.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think it's the moon, and that's the one that's the astronaut's always out there saying, "Get your ass to Mars," and for the love of God, I cannot.
I have a hard time with that. I don't think we're going to go to Mars.
I
think we've already
be a pointless
We
venture.
have to go to Mars.
I think we've been there.
I agree with you. I think we've been there. I mean,
But
when the first.
Do you
When the
remember
first-
back? Do you remember when? I can't remember where I saw it, but I've heard of 3 different pass-bys that they try to do with satellites. That 2 of them malfunctioned, 1 disappeared.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, they're
There's
Of
been at
course
least
they
2.
did.
it's almost like something doesn't want us there.
I don't.
Hey,
I don't think.
How about the shadow? You guys seen the shadow of a guy standing next to the Mars rover? You seen that picture?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
I have problems
fucking
with
weird.
those.
That's the bad thing about it. Since Photoshop, it is so difficult. We used to say, well, if you got a good photograph of something, that would be proof. Photoshop blew that out the window.
Oh yeah.
Oh, way
yeah.
out.
So with the Pathfinder, they don't even need Photoshop. They take it to a studio with some red sand, and there you go.
Yeah. Exactly.
They don't even need Photoshop with that.
See, now, if there was, at some point, if there was a civilization on Mars, which I'm saying there's a big possibility of at some point in
There's pyramids
existence,
on
there
Mars.
was a civilization there. Okay? If they didn't want us knowing it, it was to say that the rovers and the stuff sent to Mars didn't, not necessarily malfunction, but they were like, oh shit, we can't show anybody this. It malfunctioned.
Yeah.
Well, you've got that whole Cydonia area of Mars with all this interest. You've got archaeologies, you have a face. So where do they... You're sending a rover to Mars.
And what didn't that?
Why don't you land it at a point of interest? They land the damn thing in the middle of a friggin' desert where there's nothing to see.
No,
Right.
And didn't the pictures from Mars that we all see, that we see Cydonia, come from a Russian satellite? Wasn't that a Russian picture?
I'm not sure.
A lot of
Mariner, was it Mariner 4 that took the face on Mars picture?
Yeah, some of the rovers, and I remember when the first rover went up there. Do you remember that the power went out on it? Like it's been up there 2 days. The battery went out of it. They said it's got dirt all over it, and it cannot pick up the.
It didn't have Duracell.
Right. What it was doing is it was solar powered, and it couldn't be able to see it. So. I figured all of a sudden it started working again, so I figured one of the guys went out and wiped it off, and then it took off again.
Dusted the solar panel.
Well, have you guys ever seen? It's a little cartoon movie called Planet 51.
Oh god, sounds familiar.
No.
Okay, well they sent like a rover to the planet, right? And it was roving around and it was picking up rocks and collecting rocks and everything else, and taking videos of rocky areas and everything like that. And right next to it was this giant civilization of people. But every time that it saw a person, it turned around and went back to the rocks. So I see like the Mars rover kind of doing that same thing, where it's like, you know what? Let's not go in that area. Look at guys, rocks.
Yeah, I like J-Ron's comment. They are in the Gobi Desert, and filters on cams taking pictures of them.
That's been
one of the amazing
I've heard before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Do you ever
like
know?
Keith Laney, and he points out structures and bits and pieces of looks like technology on Mars.
So I'm going to bring this up. So I get the human race is fragile. They really are. They can't handle a pandemic. They can't listen. They can't do it. Whatever.
Right. Okay.
Do you really think they're going to freak out if they find out there's aliens?
No.
I think quite a few of them would.
I definitely think they would freak out, and that's the same thing that I think the Condon Report and everything else said because of Orson Welles' movie back. What happened when it was a radio show? Yeah, we're talking many years ago, but look at what happened when people thought that was a real true invasion going on.
That was really threatening.
There was actually an article about that, that it never was what the media said it was. There was a major battle at that time between Hearst, the newspaper magnate, and radio. Radio was taking a huge market share. It was new. Everybody was getting into it. That was the thing to have the radio and everybody gather around it like TV when it came along. And that the whole thing was semi-hoax in that it was overblown to give radio a bad name.
So
Hearst has been known for several of those things. Same thing with, he was involved in paper products so much, and one of the reasons why hemp was illegalized was because it was a renewable source. You didn't have to cut trees down or anything else. Made great paper, but he owned all. Him and Weyerhaeuser owned so much of the lumber.
Yeah. Charles Foster Kane was based on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Orson Welles' first movie, which was Yanked from
Films. I have to bring it up
Films.
because Izzy brought it up. I wasn't going to bring up concrete, but Izzy brought it up in the chat. So, Concrete, Washington, where we're headquartered here, actually made nationwide news. Actually, I think it made global news. But when Orson Welles' broadcast came out, here in Concrete, just as they announced that the aliens were invading, the power went out in Concrete. So nobody knew it was a radio broadcast. They thought it was actual news because that's how they, portrayed it on Orson Welles.
Right.
So all the Concretians here grabbed their guns. The radios didn't work, or not the radios. The phones didn't work because, well, back then it was the power goes out. The phones go out. H.G. Wells, thank you. Not Orson.
H.G.
You didn't correct me.
Orson Welles did War of the Worlds. H.G. Wells wrote the original War of the Worlds.
Right, all right.
Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater are the ones who dramatized it for the radio.
Okay.
The Wells.
But nobody knew it was, just a radio broadcast. They thought we were actually being invaded by aliens. So they all came running out of their houses with their guns. Bear in mind, if you're not familiar with Concrete, Washington, we are in the mountains. We're like an hour from a major town, which I would call Mount Vernon, Burlington. 45 minutes from Cedar Woolley. And if you're thinking back then, a lot longer.
Yeah.
Because back then, well, this is
35 mile an hour was probably the best you could go on that road.
And I don't even remember how they finally found out it was a radio broadcast, but You're probably right, Barry. If they actually came out and said they were aliens, look at concrete Washington for a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think it can get much more chaotic or,
Than we are now?
Yeah, I mean, this would be the perfect time to let it out because, what...
And maybe that's why they are.
I think they're trying to let it out during a time of chaos so that it becomes part, it's not a shock, it just slowly becomes part of the collective conscious.
Well, if you really look at it, they started the leak back in 2017 with the New York Times Post.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you go back to the Washington flyovers, there was your...
Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking the government...
Disclosure.
I'm talking the government release, so I'm right there with you. 1952 was a perfect disclosure with the UFO flyover of Washington, D.C. With radar contact. But wouldn't you agree, Barry? I think they started the slow leak in 2017 with Harry Reid.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Exactly. 42 million went to ATIP for UFO investigation at the government level.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. That's that is exactly when it started, and it's been going ever since. And that takes us back to where Harry Reid goes to Robert Bigelow.
Right.
And that's 2008, 2009, all over again when Bigelow was doing all the stuff at the time. And I think that a lot of people associate MUFON with that back at that period of time when it was known that he was doing some of the, Bigelow himself came to MUFON and said, hey, we would like to, I'm going to pay you to do some investigations and give you some information about the UFO things. And maybe that money might have come from a governmental source. Who knows? It's been talked about so much. But, things have changed over the times, and we keep moving on. But all that stuff came out, and then here again, it's just been a steady feed all the time. And again, that kind of scares me because of the fact that the way that they have played it, the way that TTSA, has taken it, and the shows with the History Channel and so forth, and their deal about always saying and comparing it to an alien threat. They're superior. We don't have anything like this. Look at this. We don't have this. And, is there an alien threat? The alien threat. The alien threat. So that always bothers me. And it keeps going. And now we're talking about the latest thing that was just a thing that, yes, we have know that there are off-world beings, and we have their craft.
Well, I look at it this way. If you would have asked the typical person, just an average person 20 years ago, and said, what do you think? Do you think aliens exist? They would have laughed in your face. They would have said, ha, you're funny, aliens. Right. You ask the typical person now, and they're right at that either, yes, they do, or unsure of whether they do.
What if they don't?
Right.
What?
Yeah.
What if they're lying?
I actually,
But there are no.
I think there's
no. I full out believe there are aliens, but let's see. Okay, Roswell happened. We all know that.
Right.
A lot of those happened. A lot of those crashes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantee they actually have a craft. Them saying it really bothers me because they didn't show anything.
Well, here's the thing. If none of it happened, then that means, I
don't mean it didn't happen. I mean, what if the craft self-destructed when it, like they got it into Area 51 and boom, it went.
Yeah, wouldn't that be?
Either that or, hey, if they're that superior to us, if they really are that superior to us, well, the technology that we have keeping people out of places like S-4, they're going to be able to walk through, grab their craft back, and take it.
You would think.
Well, I think there's probably I think the more advanced races, if there's like a galactic council, as some people say, and you're not allowed to hand out advanced technology to talking monkeys, what better way to introduce technology than to crash a few UFOs?
But I don't understand why they would say we have a craft and not show us something.
Oh, maybe that's coming. Maybe that's the slow...
This wasn't an official Pentagon statement. This was like the statement of some guy that was associated, right? So it's not like the generals of the Pentagon were given like a press briefing. So it's not like an official. It doesn't seem official to me. Which doesn't mean it's not real.
No, he's public affairs. He's a public affairs officer of the DOD.
Like a soft disclosure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the
right.
Yeah. It's like holding a carrot in front of the donkey to bring the cart forward.
They already know we don't believe anything they say. What? Like why?
Right.
Yeah, how can you tell a politician is lying? Their lips are moving.
Yeah.
Moving. Yeah.
So why would they expect us to believe this without some kind of proof?
Yeah, but even if you
Well,
gave the
they already
proof...
said there's more coming. So that's why I say that's the carrot. You know, they're dangling the carrot. They're releasing information to the press, which everybody already thinks the press is fake news.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so does it really matter?
Right.
You know, and so the article I've actually printed out and have in front of me came from Popular Mechanics, which is
Yes, exactly.
a more viable source. You know, you can believe the New York Times or the Chicago Tribune, or pick your paper. And is it real? Is it validated? I read everything with a grain of salt. I don't even look at the news anymore. There's no point. Their lips are moving.
Well, have you ever noticed, though, that when circulation is down and they need a bump, and this goes for when networks notice that they're not being watched, if papers notice that their circulation is down, what better way to get a bump in sales than to bring out this vague, you put out a UFO article that really just rehashes the old,
yeah.
It's
Because
a
what are you
teaser
gonna do?
article.
You're
It
gonna
never
buy
says
that.
anything new. It hints at or it makes innuendo, but it never.
It's 2020.
Ever.
They don't need anything. They're doing fine. There is not much out there that isn't happening right now.
I want to reach out to John Greenwald from the Black Vault and bring him on the show. He's the one that goes...
That would be interesting.
Yeah. He's the one, for listeners who don't know who John Greenwald is, look up theblackvault.com. He's the one who actually fights the government for Freedom of Information Act documents. So if you want to find the document that's been released, he would have it. Mm-hmm. And this is probably an exciting time for him because, hey, they're releasing stuff. Makes it easy for him to get when they're releasing it and he doesn't have to fight for it.
Right. I kind of wonder sometimes if they're scared of us in some way. Okay, more like we would be scared of a wild bear or something of that nature. Because they only seem to abduct very small amounts of people in very specific circumstances. And you never see a mass scale amount of people coming, or aliens coming down here and going through anything, or... So I wonder if it's more like those animals in that cage, you don't want to go in there unless you are...
The only time... I'm kind of thinking, because now you got me thinking, as far as a group of aliens coming down, happened in Australia with a high school. And it was a bunch of high school students, or school students that were outside and saw the UFO, and it landed. Do you remember that case, Barry?
I don't remember it. Give me it one more time. I want to make sure we're talking about the same one.
It was in Australia. A UFO came outside a school, landed, and
yes. It was also one that happened in Brazil. Also, yes, exactly. The bees came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. I do remember that. Yes.
I don't remember how many aliens actually came out. I think it was 2 or 3.
Hundreds of school kids saw a UFO.
I think it was 2 or 3. Huh?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It was the Westfall UFO incident. Hundreds of students saw this thing, and it was basically swept under the rug. And it's kids, because they weren't considered a credible source, even though the teachers saw the entire population of that school saw these things. Yes.
It landed. 3 beings came out, actually communicated with these students and teachers. So other than that, no, you're right. I can't think of too many cases where there weren't more than 2
right
that came out.
Like almost like a scouting party, but not really.
Right.
Like when you would send somebody into
checking on your cows.
Yes. Yeah. Or I would say more like when you send a dog catcher in to catch a dog.
Jay runs in the chat room and says, "What about the one that sunk in the Black Sea?" I'm not ringing a bell on that one.
Oh, the one that they found this weird sonar bleep, and when they looked at it, it actually looked kind of like the Millennium Falcon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
yes.
Chewie.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, there's also some people out there that say Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were let in on the secret, and that's why Chewbacca, why that whole genre.
Oh, they say the same thing about Gene Roddenberry too.
Well, could it not be true? Just because
Chris
they
Carter,
say
it's a possibility.
Chris Carter was supposed to have been let in, and that's where a lot of the X-Files episodes came from.
I mean, really, when you're looking at a species that we have no idea about, anything is a possibility.
It makes me think of when Spielberg went and showed, I think it was E.T. to Ronald Reagan.
You don't know how close to the truth you are.
Absolutely. So there have been, I think there have been attempts at disclosure many times, but it just doesn't make it all the way through.
It gets to it's like when Reagan said he wanted to know about it.
Yeah.
He said he would tell this aide, I want to know the truth about this, what happened to Roswell. And it would just, okay, sir, I'll get right on that. And buried in procedure. And, they just, distract the old man with something else and he'll forget.
Somebody was told, I think it was Jimmy Carter, or who was president when Bush Sr. was head of the CIA? President called
Carter, I think.
Was that Reagan?
I think it was Reagan.
Was it Reagan? He called him up and was like, I want to be briefed. I want to be briefed on everything you got to do with UFOs, and was told flat out no.
That was Reagan.
That was Carter.
Was it?
Yeah, that was Carter.
Okay.
Because Carter
claims to have seen one. He had a UFO
and swore
experience.
that he was going to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, Carter had.
And they just flat ass told him, "You don't need to know."
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, the president doesn't have nearly that clearance level, apparently.
No, the president is only a puppet. Generally speaking,
he passes through. He's only there 4 to 8 years.
Well, exactly. The president's going to be there for 4 to 8 years. The bureaucracy is going to be there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I laugh, because it's just like Independence Day when I can't remember his name, but he was, well, what about Air 51? And the president's going, there's no such thing as tabloid, and the guy says, that's not.
Want to see an alien?
Yeah.
Well, but then there's that supposed book of secrets.
True.
If you're in the government, send me your damn alien race book.
The President Book of Secrets. There's a legend that Richard Nixon had some alien artifact or device that he kept in a cabinet and would pull it out and show it to people.
Jackie
like right in the Oval
Oh,
Office.
Jackie Gleason's story
Jackie
is
Gleason
the
was a very
easy
good
one
friend
at
of
Homestead.
Nixon's.
At
Nixon
Homestead Air
took,
Force Base.
Nixon took Gleason to Homestead
Air
Air Base and showed him the alien artifacts and a body.
Yeah, and it changed him majorly after that.
That is a messed up thing. Like Jackie Gleason walks into the Oval Office, the president just looks at him and says,
"Hey, want to go see an
a
alien?"
body?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing later?
Yeah, no thanks.
But
Yeah. Well, they
how
were
do you say
golfing
no
buddies.
to that? I mean, you know.
Well, you
but-
don't, obviously,
And
but
I
it
really
changes you
think,
for life.
getting back to the Blue Book TV show, we know a lot of their episodes were BS, but I don't remember J. Allen Hynek ever going into a military base and seeing alien bodies in a encasement.
No.
So maybe that's what they were mixing up the Jackie Gleason story.
When the hell did that happen?
It did, in Blue Book.
In Blue Book.
I never
You
watched.
missed
I stopped watching it pretty early then, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. It got.
I stopped watching
They
it.
butchered a lot in that series.
It
The whole Barty and Betty Hill.
That is when I stopped watching
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Project
Wow.
Blue
Yeah.
Book.
I think the best disclosure movie was probably Paul.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
my
Exactly.
biggest
That was a
issue
great
with the
one.
whole Blue Book thing was who they chose to play Hynek.
Okay.
He had just been in that Game of Thrones, and he was the worst person in the absolute world in that show. I couldn't stand him anymore.
I don't even
Yeah.
remember who he was.
Littlefinger
Littlefinger
in Game of
in
Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Oh. What's he?
And
Okay.
that's why I like having a director on the show tonight, because when you're talking about making movies and who to portray as a character in a series or a movie, isn't that important?
Casting, yeah.
You have to cast somebody. Well, when you cast somebody, you're looking for somebody who can project street cred, or somebody who's going to be believable in the role.
Right. Absolutely.
Not only believable, but has to look enough like the original character that they're playing.
And someone
if it's
who's
something based on reality.
You don't want a comedian to play a role of a serious character.
Well, that
for example.
not necessarily.
yeah, that worked for Robin Williams.
Yeah, Robin
He
Williams.
scared the
Okay,
hell out of me.
okay.
Yeah.
Robin Williams could play any role. That's
Yeah, comedians are usually pretty good actors. They say if you can
Yeah.
do comedy, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Like Steve
Okay,
Martin,
okay.
he's done.
But-
Steve Martin's done some serious stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grand Canyon.
You don't want someone who
Jim
has been
Carrey
stuck
even.
in a
serial
role.
killer.
Yeah.
Huh?
You don't want someone who has been stuck in a role.
Like
No.
you don't take
Typecast.
Daniel Radcliffe and make him the main character or something else. Okay, you saw Witch in the Window or the Black Lady or something
Woman
like
in
that.
Black.
Woman in Black.
I thought that was fantastic. I thought he did a great job in that.
I was waiting for him to pull out the wand.
Like all I see when I look at him is Harry Potter. So if you take,
Right.
you don't want to put somebody in a role that they don't belong in.
Have you ever had anybody turn down a role in a movie because they didn't want to get typecast?
No, not for that reason. But lots of people turn down roles. Usually it's because they thought the script was disgusting. It's usually a good reason.
See, and those are the movies I like to see.
Right.
People get offended by stuff sometimes. I say, I don't want to be in this movie.
We're gonna,
a slasher movie or something.
We're gonna be checking out your movies now, right, Matt?
Oh,
Speaking of which, how do we find them?
I could use them.
Yeah. How do we find your movies? Can you find them on Amazon or anything?
Yeah. I've got a new movie coming out later this year. It's called Detroit Driller Killer, but I think the title's being changed to American Driller Killer because they thought Detroit was too regional sounding. That's going to be coming out, and an earlier film I did, called The Necrophiles, is getting a re-release on DVD too. Other than that, I sell my own stuff. I've got a store. It's down right now because I'm moving, but
I love the double of the necrophile, or as like a lover of the dead or necrophile, file about.
It was written. It was actually written in 2 words. This is back when the X-Files was popular, so this is the Necrophiles. Even though it has absolutely nothing to do with the X-Files, but it's got like that typewriter font, and everything. It's just.
So what's your plans for the next few years? I know you're kind of at a standstill because of all the COVID going on and whatnot. But do you have plans for movies coming out?
For new ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just finished one, so I don't know. I'd like to get started on another one. Maybe I'll do an alien thing if I can come up with a good idea.
Oh, we can help you with that.
Or Hollow Earth. I would love to do a Hollow Earth movie. That would be the shit.
That would. Because that has, other than
Journey to the
Center of the Earth, I don't think anybody's ever really done a good modern take. They're just rehashing H.G. Wells.
What was the other one? Was it Lost Horizon? Do you remember that? I think it was called Lost Horizon. It was a Inner Earth fantasy movie.
I vaguely remember that.
So here's one theory. You know what the Aurora Borealis. Some that follow the Hollow Earth theories think the Aurora Borealis is actually the lights from the inner Earth coming out.
Yeah, I've heard that too. That wouldn't make a lot of sense, wouldn't
it? It would to me, other than we know it's atmospheric, but if you take the atmospheric aspect out,
if you completely change
looks like a reflection of a bunch of lights.
Anything's possible. Come on now.
I've seen them once in my life, and I have to say that was probably the eeriest thing I've ever encountered. And I've encountered ghosts and UFOs.
Right? And Bigfoot knocks.
What's your UFO thing?
Mine?
If you'd share that with me, yeah.
Oh, I have a place in the mountains of North Carolina that belonged to my parents, and it's in dark sky country. You just look up on any given night, and chances are you're going to see satellites, or I've seen, a streak of light come across the sky and stop, and then move, like 90, just, I've seen that. I've seen the abrupt 90-degree changes, or, course changes that would pulp a human.
And satellites don't stop.
Yeah, satellites don't. My understanding is geosynchronous satellites do not stop, and I have seen these things come streaking. Like, I thought it was a meteor the first time I saw one. I thought it was a meteor, and I'm following it along, and all of a sudden it stops, and it didn't go out. So, and there's a person whose name I won't mention because I don't want to get beat with a slipper, but has told me that I've been abducted, and I do have. We were doing back when it was S-4 with E squared. We went through the list of abduction symptoms, and it's like, holy crap! All of a sudden I'm thinking.
I think you fit 12 out of 22.
I fit more than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were taking it along, and I was like, guys, I seem to have a bunch of these off this checklist. Supposedly my nose was broken by reptilians one night, and they did a hasty fix.
Surgery.
Yeah. And it felt like it was broken.
Wow.
Well, that's
doing some procedure on you or something. They broke your nose like an accident.
According to the person that told me about it, these things are so much stronger than we are that they can cause unintentional harm just because it's like Godzilla handling, handling dandelion fluff.
Right. Travis Walton.
Yeah.
The whole Travis Walton story, where Travis Walton saw the light and he ran to it, and just as they were projecting their beam, they didn't intentionally harm Travis. They killed him. So they took him up to the ship, they fixed him, and they returned him. And that's really the story that he's changed to now with the second movie came out with a few years ago.
Yeah, his original thing, they abducted him and did all this horrible stuff to him, and now he thinks he's recanted. And he says he thinks they killed him or injured him so severely he was on the cusp of death.
But it wasn't.
And they fixed him back up. Yeah, it wasn't intentional.
It wasn't intentional. They were just doing an environmental survey, as I remember right. And
so one of those wrong place at the wrong time scenarios.
Well, exactly.
Oh, damn,
exactly.
The
That scenario.
just walked into our drilling beam.
Yeah.
We little beasties.
And you and of all the awful things you hear about from abductees, you do hear occasionally where once taken, their cancer's cured. You hear positive things out of some abductions. That were a result of the abduction. So, what's the ultimate agenda? Are we the cattle that they're actually bringing up to fix every once in a while, or
Are we pets?
Yeah.
Are we a reality series?
Or are we their children?
Ooh.
You never know.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, if you look at like the 12 tribes of Israel type of mythology, I guess that's not really original because that was sort of behind the Battlestar Galactica theme, the 12 tribes. But could that not be a simplified version of explaining who we are?
So Joe's got a question. He's under scattered thunderstorms and lightning right now. Are the cryptids more active or less active? I've never heard of a study done on that. I'll be honest with you. Is Bigfoot running around in the woods during a lightning storm?
Probably not.
You know what? Actually,
they know what happens when lightning strikes a tree.
Right.
I would think that they would. I mean, they're not dumb animals. I don't care who says otherwise. I do not believe that Bigfoot's just this.
An ape?
Yeah, I don't think it's this ostrich. Even apes in the wild will shelter during a storm.
Right.
They get away from
Exactly. Everything.
Okay, but I gotta say, it depends on the type. Because if we're talking strictly Bigfoot, then I wouldn't see him out in the thunderstorm. No. But if you were to take like a Thunderbird into account, then that would be their prime time of being out.
That's true.
No, Joe, no. That doesn't count as a roundtable question. You're asking it during a regular show. Gotta come up with another one.
So, I would say it depends on the type.
What do you mean? So you're talking about Dogman versus Bigfoot versus...
Right, if you're talking about
Goatman.
Bigfoot, or if you're talking about Goatman, or if you're talking about Dogman, likelihood is they're just like other creatures or us, and they would be sheltering at that time. Because...
I would think
during an electrical storm, a very severe electrical storm, even on a basic animal level, I mean, face it, humans are the only ones that get into cars and chase tornadoes.
Right, exactly. You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
They would be the kind, I think.
Yes, but if you look at cryptids in general, some of them actually are charged by storm.
Well, okay.
Spiritually, yes. I mean, I think there's the spirit energy and what we know and the paranormal side from the ghosts and other spirit things. We know that they are charged from them. But when you look at the Bigfoot and stuff, I would assume that, I mean, and even like deer and everything else, look, it's a natural thing. They can't hear that well. They can't be able to tell. The rain's coming down, everything else, so they lay low and nothing, so they don't have to move. They don't have to get around anything.
And that's the difference. Cryptids, even if they're interdimensional creatures like we think some of them are, they're still a physical being.
Yes, and they're smart.
They're still subject to lightning. Whereas the other paranormal aspects, spirits, shadow man, even demons for that matter. But when you're talking other paranormal creatures, they are not subject to physical reality like the cryptids are. So yes, they would be charged by electricity and things like that.
Right.
It's
Right.
been shown. It's been shown by the way they can manipulate our electronics.
Yeah.
So we got 15 minutes left. We got some pretty big announcements coming up.
We do.
We do.
Okay.
Hey, let me cover
And the
one
first
thing
one
real
is-
quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I just want to cover one thing. You know, we're talking about popular mechanics, right?
Right.
You know, and this goes out to Joe and everybody else that's old like me. Do you remember Popular Science, Popular Mechanics, all the different magazines? They have always been ahead of everything as far as picking up. 1947, we had drones. There was a craft that was made that was flew underwater and out of things. And you can find those magazines everywhere. Mm-hmm. You know, back if you start going back into the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and I always thought that was kind of amazing, and I thought it was amazing. I just wanted to say that about Popular Mechanics coming out and talking about UFOs. I mean, that's just makes perfect sense to me.
And you saw that back in the 60s, too.
Mm-hmm.
Popular Mechanics, Popular Science has been actually talking about UFOs since the 50s and 60s.
60s, exactly.
You know?
Right.
I think the problem with things like that and with shows like this, we're preaching to the choir when we talk about this kind of subject, because 90% of our, probably 99% of our listening audience is already on board with, you know, cryptids and ghosts
And that's what we were trying to do at the beginning of 2020, was we were trying to get out to different things to get more new listeners, and we love our old listeners, like our current listeners, but
yeah, absolutely.
we're trying to expand.
We're always trying to expand.
Yeah. And 2020 said no.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2020
I like
said no
those
by a lot of
memes.
stuff.
2020 has pretty much just been a giant no on all fronts.
Yeah, what was the most useless purchase you could have made in 2019? A 2020 planner.
Announcements. Art contest.
So the first one,
Okay.
because Joe did mention that counts as one of his roundtable questions.
No, I told him it doesn't.
Wrong.
No.
So, over the month of August, we're doing a month of roundtables.
No, September.
No.
It was September.
Yeah.
September is the month of roundtables, so the first 3 weeks of September are all roundtable shows.
Is that when it? Okay.
And September 26th is 10 p.m. on a Saturday night is when we start our 24-hour marathon.
I'll have to come in later then.
The art contest starts August 1st.
We're going to talk later.
Yes.
So at some point, guys, we are doing a month of roundtables.
So, we here at S4 know that sometimes when dealing with the paranormal, what we experience cannot properly be put into words. Sometimes just words aren't enough. So we're asking you guys to share with us your best paranormal artwork. Pretty much any 2D medium. Joe, that doesn't count.
It has to be created by you.
Between August 1st and September 30th, we'll be accepting your 2D artwork, which will be then featuring on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, and our webpage during the month of October. All entries can be submitted to s4radiowinner@gmail.com. The hosts of S4 will then pick one to win an S4 swag bag, which is valued at $75. You have to be 18 to enter. All artwork must be PG. No nudity, please. So that's going to start going on right away. If you have it done before August 1st, send it on in. That's s4radiowinner@gmail.com. You just email your artwork to us.
So wait. So are you wait? So we're going to talk about this on air. So what you're saying is next week starts our month of roundtables? Okay. So
I can't do the next
August,
one.
that's fine. August. And Joe and Barry, you're ruining this now. August is a month of roundtables. So we are doing roundtable every Sunday night for the first 3 weeks, and then we are doing a 24-hour, oh my God, marathon.
It's going to be awesome.
It will. So what that means, so I don't think our listeners have ever heard what it takes to do this show. But when we do a show, Spreaker only allows a 3-hour block. And then you have to do another 3-hour block. And another 3-hour block. So how we're going to work that, you're going to have a 3-hour show on a certain topic with a certain guest. We're going to take a break. 5 minutes. And we're going to go to another topic with another guest and another show. And we're going to do this 8 times.
So you'll have to reload your Spreaker every time at that block in order to catch us again.
Right. So it's going to be a 24-hour marathon, and oh my God, you want to hear us at our worst? I'll
be fairly fresh when I come in Sunday.
You forgot the one part we have, like we got to sacrifice that chicken every week so we get good internet.
Yeah, that too.
Oh God.
So,
okay.
At least it's a chicken.
We're going to be moving the Spreaker studio into the living room for this, right?
Yes.
Yes, Joe. That works.
So, Barry, so what Joe just said is we need to come prepared with 24 questions.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
The thing is, every time we do a round table, it feels like we don't get through the first round of questions.
No, we don't.
And we usually end up actually having to cut people off because we want to get through everyone.
Yeah, at least one question.
That last one makes it so we don't have to cut people off.
So here's the difference between our roundtables and many other shows' roundtables is oftentimes everyone comes with their 3 questions, but they only got 10 minutes. I've never liked that because you can't get through some topics in 10 minutes. So I really don't care if we don't get through all 3 questions from everybody, because if we only get, one round of questions from all of our guests, but we actually get to the bottom of a topic, that's a good show.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't leave a topic hanging because we got to get to the next set of questions.
All right.
And so often we plan one thing, but we end up teasing a thread that becomes irresistible, and we start unraveling the sweater, so to speak, because there's interest in that sideline.
And it turns out that could be a whole other show on that topic.
Right.
But most definitely, so August is I'll have to change my promo, but that's not a big deal. So August is our month of roundtables and our 24-hour marathon. And if it's a fun marathon, we might do it again on Halloween night.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'd love to do that.
That would be a fun show.
So,
that sounds fun.
The thing is, the marathon show, you guys, we have lots of topics that we always sit there and, in the 3rd hour, we'll say, that's for another show.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? That's for the next show.
All right, here we go, guys. I'm bringing my awkward questions.
That's
this time.
fine.
It's going to be fun.
I think we need to actually talk about Antarctica a little bit more during that.
I think
we've got everyone in here trying to always bring that up.
Hallelujah.
Right?
We definitely.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we got to talk about Antarctica.
You know who?
That's
Joe
a 24-hour show in itself.
Joe wants to hear Megan Fox.
I bet he does.
No, so
I think he wants to touch Megan Fox a little bit more than hear her.
Oh my God!
Happy birthday, Joe!
Aww.
Everyone say happy birthday. Wait. 1, 2, 3.
Happy
birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joe. Happy birthday to you.
And many more 26.
So, for listeners, yes, that's Pointy Stick Joe. You will hear him next week on Roundtable.
Nice.
From the bunker in California.
What's with the picture of you and the bear? Are you sitting there with a bear?
With any luck, Joe's going to actually bring an audio recording of Bigfoot's howls. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely want to hear it too. Yeah, that'd be
I
awesome.
He said that was a were chicken or something.
No,
were-raccoon.
He had a
Were-raccoon.
Were-raccoon.
He had a were-raccoon.
They're raccoon.
So anyway, August, Roundtable, the whole month.
Make sure you get in those your art projects into us. That we really want to see what you guys can come up with. It doesn't have to be just be it doesn't have to be an experience, just something paranormal related. Barry, did you draw that?
Yeah, that was.
That's awesome.
Why are you sitting?
Look at that. They're already coming in. Like I said, guys, we're going to feature them as much as we can. We will make sure you are the known artist. If you do not want that written, if you just want it as anonymous, let us know and we'll put that in as well.
Right.
It's going to be great. I think.
Well, we're always coming. And if you have an idea you want us to see us do on the show, by all means, send it to us. Because we're always looking for new ideas and new fun contests and whatnot to do. And Matt, thank you for coming on tonight. It was an honor, and it was great to have you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for inviting me, guys.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
A pleasure.
And he's going to leave the show and think we're just a whole bunch of nut jobs.
Oh.
I'm gonna be fantasizing about the Hollow Earth all night.
Right?
There you go.
All right.
Every guest does,
you
but
make
most
that
of them
Hollow
come
Earth
back because they
movie.
realize
I
they're
wanna
in that
see
job
it.
too.
Now
wanna be the part
that's
of
an
the premiere.
awesome movie to make there, Hollow Earth. Yes.
I'll do what I can on that one.
All right.
All right.
So,
All right, thanks again, you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Great having you.
Absolutely.
So y'all stay safe. Have a great week. Have a safe week. And we will see you next week for Roundtable. And
Bye,
with
guys.
that, remember, keep your eyes to the skies.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.